Good morning, all. Welcome to our budget workshop. It's Monday, August 11th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Meeting number 2025-0811 WS. Okay.
We'd like to remind everyone to please silence your mobile devices. To help with sound quality, make sure to speak clearly and directly into your microphone. And mute your microphone when you're not speaking. If anyone is having trouble hearing at any point during the meeting, please raise your hand and someone will bring you an audio assistance device. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I would like to ask all to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Please call the roll. Mr. Clerk.
Commissioner Rydell?
Here.
Commissioner Welch?
Here.
Commissioner Brody?
Here.
As noted by the Mayor, Vice Mayor Wasserman will be with us shortly. Mayor Raley?
Here.
City Manager Rose?
Here.
City Attorney Pyburn?
Here.
This meeting is being conducted live with a physical quorum present. The material for today's meeting is available online at www.coconutcreek.net, and the meeting is being broadcast live. We will now hear the discussion item regarding the fiscal year 2026 budget and 5-year capital improvement plan. Okay, we have our brilliant Finance and Administrative Services Director, Peter Gay Lake, will make the presentation.
And I just wanted to just open by saying I certainly appreciate all of your input over the last several months, and I appreciate the staff's continued commitment to a balanced budget. It was a little bit surprising this year to see the decrease projections in revenue. I think that was a little surprising. So when you look at the final budget and the balanced budget, it's due to the work of all of these people and their commitment to making sure we cut programs wherever we needed to cut programs, where we were frugal, where we needed to be frugal, and where we committed to look for resources in the form of grants and other sources of income to make sure the budget balanced. And particularly thank you to both Veronica and Peter Gay, who up until even yesterday were working on this budget so that the presentation today can be seamless. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sheila. So, Mayor, Commissioners, good morning and welcome to the fiscal year 26 budget workshop. We're very excited to share with you everything that we have proposed for the upcoming year. So our agenda for today's workshop includes a review of the budget process, the fiscal year 26 financial overview, the fund overview, which includes a brief discussion on any new request, and ends with the review of the fiscal year 26 proposed budget and 5-year capital improvement plan. Guided by community input and the City Commission's directives from the March 25th Budget Strategic Planning Workshop, the fiscal year 26 budget addresses our community's needs, desires, and priorities. Our 3 top priorities continue to be building the funds required to complete Fire Station 113, the Police Department improvements, and our infrastructure, capital, and workforce housing initiatives within Main Street. This budget continues the important work of assembling the funds to complete these priorities. In order to ensure we cover everything today in the workshop, we'll first walk through the presentation, and as we go along, then we'll discuss any new programs, capital outlay, and then we'll end with all the capital improvement program requests. So with that, I'll turn it over to Veronica, who's going to walk us through the budget process.
There were 3 components that served as a foundation for the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget. We received valuable budget input, feedback, and guidance from you, the Commission, and have incorporated your request where applicable. As always, we value the input from our residents as they are the voice of the city. And lastly, we have aligned our initiatives, programs, projects, and services with our Vision 2030 strategic plan. The city's strategic plan, Vision 2030, continues to serve as the foundation for driving the city's initiatives, programs, projects, and services. Vision 2030 provides goals and objectives, influences the city's budgeting process, guides the implementation of the city's full range of services, and serves as a guiding roadmap to achieving our high standards. The strategic plan serves as the foundation for the development of the annual budget and focuses on continuous improvement on the 5 key areas of focus: adaptability and transformative mobility, safety and quality of life, high-performance government, strategic growth and economic vitality, and resilience and resource stewardship. The illustration highlights the city's annual budget process. The budget process is about an 11-month process, beginning with an internal planning phase in December and ending in early November when the adopted budget document is submitted to Government Financial Officers Association for the Distinguished Budget Award, which the city has been the recipient of for the past 25 years. During the month of March, the city hosts a budget strategic planning workshop to discuss priorities that could potentially affect the budget with the City Commission. In March and April, all departments work within the parameters set by the Finance Department to submit their budget requests and proposed capital improvement projects for the upcoming year. Departments were given target amounts in which to develop their budget. This is developed by taking the fiscal year 2025 adopted budget and making adjustments for any one-time costs, program modifications, and any known contractual increases or decreases. Any requests that cause departments to exceed their target must be thoroughly justified. As always, the departments do an excellent job of developing their budgets within the operational targets provided. The annual budget is developed ensuring that it aligns with the city's strategic goals. As departments develop their individual budgets, they are doing so while ensuring they consider new methods or ideas to accomplish goals, consider recurring annual costs and its effect on the budget, leverage departmental expertise, and continue to provide excellent service while ensuring quality improvement and fiscal accountability. In April, the city also hosts a town hall budget meeting to gain input from the residents of Coconut Creek. Departments were also given the opportunity to submit any program modifications, capital outlay, and capital improvement requests. New requests require detailed justifications, and the departments rank all new requests in priority order, and through a collaborative approach, staff determines which budget requests are included in the proposed budget based on the vision and input from commission, resident input, available funding, and competing priorities. City manager department meetings were held in May, and the proposed budget is then finalized and printed in July and submitted to the City Commission for review and consideration. In August, City Administration holds a budget workshop with the City Commission to review the proposed budget. Budget hearings are held in September to approve the budget for the upcoming fiscal year, and the fiscal year begins in October. Just a few important dates to remember. September 15th at 6 p.m. is the first public hearing to tentatively adopt the fiscal year 26 budget, and September 25th at 6 p.m. is the second public hearing to adopt the final fiscal year 26 budget. Peter Gay will now go over the fiscal year 25 accomplishments.
All right, thank you, Veronica. So as we all know, this past year has been an exceptionally busy one for every department across the city. It feels as though nearly every top priority for Coconut Creek required attention, whether it was Main Street, the landfill, Turnpike, or significant capital projects like the fire station and the PD improvements. And all of this came on top of the ongoing day-to-day responsibilities that keep our city running smoothly. Despite the challenges, each department has remained focused on our shared vision of being an innovative and engaged community with a small-town personal touch. And providing that small-town personal touch isn't always easy. It takes consistent efforts and commitments, but it's clear that this value is embedded in the way our team operates here at Coconut Creek and how they interact with the public each and every day. So for accomplishments, we're going to start off with adaptable and transformative mobility. We were able to obtain commitment from Broward County to fund the construction of the South Creek neighborhood improvements, which comes with approximately $6 million in surtax funding to complete that project. We also started phase 1 improvements for the Hillsborough redevelopment project, which is the shared use pathway. That comes at a cost of about $1.8 million, and we were able to get a little bit over $600,000 in grants from Broward County. We also completed the design of Sample Road multipurpose pathway and initiated the construction phase to enhance connectivity and multimodal transportation option. And again, that will be funded through surtax dollars. And we also continued efforts to increase monthly community transportation ridership through outreach initiatives, including distributing flyers and promotional items at city events. Next, we'll go on to resilience and resource stewardship. We replaced 2 city vehicles with electric vehicles to support the city's resiliency efforts, which brings our total fleet of electric vehicles to 5, with 2 additional EV vehicles included in the proposed budget for fiscal year 26. We also started the process for installing EV charging stations at Sable Pines Park for city vehicles. Currently, we now have about 76 EV charging stations in the city. 63 of them are private and 13 were installed for city vehicles. We also are in the process of converting shuttle buses to propane for a lower emissions fleet. And we have a total of 5 county buses that currently uses propane gas that we're utilizing for our routes. We also launched a citywide canal and lake bank restoration master plan to tackle erosion issues across the city. And we coordinated projects, inspections, and maintenance with Cocomar Water Control District via membership on the advisory board that has led to regular updates and storm and drought conditions, expedited aquatic vegetation cleanup, and improved customer service for our residents. Under high-performance government, we completed a thorough evaluation of department staffing levels and implemented a strategic reorganization to better align responsibilities, streamline workflows, and enhance overall operational efficiencies for several departments, including the police department, the fire rescue department, the information technology department, and the finance and administrative services department. We also made minor staffing changes to various other departments to increase efficiencies, including sustainable development, public works, and utilities and engineering. We also followed up with an employee survey analysis and action plan, which will be presented to the Commission once all the analysis is completed on the survey results. We also initiated a complete website overhaul aimed at enhancing ADA accessibility, user experience, and online services to better connect with the community. We anticipate that this project will be completed in September, barring any unforeseen delays or changes. We also expanded the Behavioral Health Access Program, including adding an information page that includes details on peer counseling services and access to the city's mental health clinician. And we also developed and launched the City Hall Art Master Plan, infusing public spaces with meaningful art tied to Vision 2030 and including the upcoming Holocaust Memorial. And we engaged in, we started working with the collective bargaining units for the 3 sworn police bargaining units. But wait, there's more for high-performance government. So we administered a transparent 2025 municipal election while launching a new engagement strategies to boost voter participation and ensure accessibility for all. We developed a grants team to maximize grant and appropriation opportunities for the city. We convened and supported the 2025 Charter Review Board, facilitating transparent governance. And we also continued the implementation of Vision 2030, guiding city operation and investments through a shared long-term vision rooted in innovation and community engagement. We also actively worked on moving forward numerous capital projects, including undergrounding of overhead utilities and Park School Road, Fire Station 113 and fire administration design, Lakeside Park expansion Phase 1, Oak Trail Park expansion Phase 2, the Fleet Building renovations design, the Recreation Complex renovations design, and our first all-inclusive playground at the Recreation Complex, as well as Donaldson and Sunshine Drive Parks. That's a lot that Public Works has been working on. We also completed the Vincomolder Neighborhood Master Plan. So under strategic growth and economic vitality, we successfully oversaw the completion of a comprehensive long-term economic analysis for the Main Street Development Project, which basically provided the financial insight and projections needed for us to negotiate the final Main Street Development Agreement that you saw on Thursday. We also advanced the Main Street project through strategic approval, community partnerships, and long-term financial planning, which basically paved the way for Village Green Park and our Lakeside Plaza, the parking garage, our workforce housing initiatives, and vital infrastructure improvements that are needed in that area. We also initiated the development of an economic development and long-term financial plan that will drive the budget process in the future. It will serve as the foundation for economic development and redevelopment and tied into the actual financial plan for the city. And we also enhanced the city's permit concierge program and identified dedicated personnel to oversee that program. Under safety and quality of life, here are some of the, as you can see, the font got smaller on this side because we have so many for this, but we actively monitored and initiated legal action against the landfill expansion, launching a formal dispute and lawsuit to safeguard environmental quality and our residents' well-being. We also played a leadership role in shaping the newly formed Solid Waste Authority. We actively monitored and provided legal oversight for the Florida Turnpike expansion, and we successfully partnered with Broward County Public Schools to complete the Lions Creek Middle School switch for the drop-off. And just to provide an update this morning, everything went well, no issues, and they were able to clear the lines, I think, by 9:30 this morning versus their normal 10:15 or 10:30. So that change went into effect, and we're already seeing benefits from that. So thank you to the team for getting that done. We also received the Police Second Reaccreditation Award. We successfully launched a body-worn camera program, and it's been in effect. We haven't had any issues, any complaints. We're able to keep up with all the public records requests for the body-worn camera program, and everything's been going well so far. And we also initiated implementation of the Florida School Zone Safety Enforcement Program, which included a very robust community outreach component. So we're almost done with getting the permits approved for Monarch High School and Northwest 39th Avenue at Winston Park Elementary. They should be up and running hopefully by the end of the month. And the other locations will follow over the next several months pending permit approval. We also achieved accreditation from the Commission on Accreditation of Ambulance Services through our fire department. We continue to pursue accreditation for the Commission on Fire Accreditation International through the development of a community risk assessment. We developed a proactive community paramedic program, which helps to bring preventative health care directly to our residents, and it also eased the strain on emergency response services. We partnered with a consultant to evaluate and enhance parks and recreation programming, ensuring efficient service delivery that addresses our community needs. And we also introduced a meaningful digital memorial tree program, allowing residents to honor their loved ones. We proactively addressed water safety by completing the service line inventory for the lead and copper rule compliance requirements. And we continue to monitor and manage PFAS risk in alignment with the evolving environmental standards. And we engaged with the advanced metering infrastructure vendor, which will come before the Commission within the next several weeks for consideration. And we'll also make sure we include a robust community outreach component. We will be hosting what they call an AMI Day also for residents to come out, and they'll see a mini version of the system and ask questions. So that's going to be upcoming in the next several months. All right, so with that, we'll start with the financial overview. So the fiscal year 26 proposed budget presented some of its own unique operational challenges and opportunities. We had to balance all departmental requests and competing needs for capital improvement investment with the increase in cost of goods and services due to inflation and tariffs. We also continued to navigate any legislative changes due to unfunded mandates. We had to look at the Live Local Act 3.0, expanded oversight requirements from the Florida State Department of Government Efficiency, and discussions around eliminating or substantially reducing property tax assessments for local governments. So although the governor did veto the bill that would have initiated the study on property taxes, he is still pushing forward he wanted to skip the study and move forward with some action to reduce property taxes for homestead properties. So that's still being discussed, and it's something that we're still monitoring as we move forward. In addition, we have seen reduction or stabilization in some of our demand-driven revenues, which are like our half-cent sales tax and our shared revenue that we get from the state. All of that's driven by consumer spending, and it includes our franchise fees and our utility taxes, so we've had to pivot accordingly because of those reductions. So the financial highlights for fiscal year 26, we have a total budget of $217.9 million, with about $22.9 million invested in capital improvements throughout the city. Proposed staffing remains the same at 514 FTEs, and I did want to point out that that's actually a reduction from the approved budget for fiscal year 25. We were able to do some reorganization and make some changes. A large part of that reduction is getting rid of some vacant positions for our bus drivers because of the permanent reduction in the routes that we had over the past several years. We were able to remove those vacant positions from the budget. And we also have approximately $1.8 million in proposed program modifications and $1.9 million in proposed capital outlay, which we'll go over as we go through the presentation. I know this slide is, it's a little hard to read, but hopefully everybody got a copy of a printout of the presentation. You can follow along with that. So these are our proposed payroll adjustments for the upcoming year. The city's compensation plan aims to uphold equitable and competitive market wages. Adjustments are determined annually after considering the local consumer price index, comparisons with surrounding cities, and a sustainable budget for the future. With that, we've included a proposed 2.2 cost of living adjustment, or COLA, that's based on the April CPI for our general employees for fiscal year 26. According to the collective bargaining agreements, fire personnel will also receive that 2.2% COLA, as well as our part-time school resource officers. They'll get the 2.2% increase. Per the charter, a 2.2% increase is also included for elected officials in the budget. The fiscal year 26 COLA for the police lieutenants, police sergeants, and police officers is pending negotiations and the outcome of the collective bargaining agreement process. As you may recall, the city went through a request for proposal process for health insurance last year. Our premiums for fiscal year 26 came in with a 8.2% increase, which was actually negotiated down from an initial 14.4% increase. So thank you to HR for working so hard to get that increase down to 8.2%. That increase was based on industry increases as well as our experience rate, so things that are outside of the control of the city of Coconut Creek. As part of our ongoing efforts to respond to employee concerns about rising medical insurance premium, the fiscal year 26 proposed budget includes a change in the city's cost-sharing approach. So for general employees, police lieutenants, and members of the fire bargaining unit enrolled in the high-deductible plan, the city will cover the full costs of this year's premium increase. So they won't see any increase if they're in those plans and on the high-deductible plan. That same dollar amount will be applied to the employees enrolled in the OAP buy-up plan to ensure consistency and fairness across options. Additionally, for the second year in a row, the budget includes the $1,000 annual contribution to the health savings account for those same employees that are enrolled in the high-deductible plan. And we're still working through negotiations for the police collective bargaining unit members. There was also significant increases in the city's contribution for the Florida State Retirement System for fiscal year 26. In particular, the city's special risk contribution rate went from 32.79% to 35.19%. So it's a straight up 3% increase in the actual contribution rate. So it's more like 7% increase in dollars for pension expenses for special risk categories. So we had to account for that when we were balancing the fiscal year 26 budget. So now let's take a look at the fund overview, and we're going to walk through the four main operating funds for the city. And those funds are the general fund, the street construction and maintenance fund, the water and wastewater fund, and the stormwater fund. So the general fund is the largest of the city's operating funds, accounting for almost 60% of the total city budget. Police, fire, rescue, parks and rec, public works, sustainable development, information technology, and all the administrative departments and principal functions are supported by this fund. So this slide illustrates the proposed fiscal year 26 revenue budget for the general fund. So the total budget is $128.3 million, and you see that's already down by $3.3 million in total. The first line item is the increase of approximately $2.5 million in property taxes. That's due to reassessments and new construction. So the rate itself will remain the same, but then because of new construction and reassessments, we were able to get an additional $2.5 million. Following that, we anticipate notable decreases across nearly all other general fund revenue sources for the upcoming year. The city began to see the effects of the downward trajectory in demand-driven revenues in fiscal year 25. We were able to pivot accordingly by adjusting our capital resources, and we're actively monitoring those revenues for 25. Franchise fees decreased by approximately $400,000, utility taxes by another $800,000. License and permits are projected to decrease by $1.7 million due to the timing and reallocation of permit fees for the Main Street project. Charges for services decreased by, intergovernmental revenue decreased by $1.6 million, and that's largely due to those demand-driven revenues I spoke of earlier, half-cent sales tax, shared revenues, and so forth. Let's see what else we had. Fine and forfeitures also decreased slightly. Charges for services decreased by about $600,000. Even though our fire assessment increased by $1.3 million, that includes our engineering fees, and that included the allocations for Main Street that we don't have for this year, so that accounts for that reduction there. Fines and forfeitures remained the same. A large part of what's included in fines and forfeiture line item are the revenues for the school zone safety program, and they're estimated and they're just projections based on preliminary analysis that we've completed, so we're going to be monitoring that to see how those funds come in. So we just want to keep in mind that the overall goal of this program is to increase safety for the community. We're hoping that as we roll it out, the word will spread and we will have compliance, and we won't have to worry about fining all those fees for our residents. So we also anticipate decreases in miscellaneous revenue, and that's just a direct result of the change in market for interest rates. And then appropriated fund balance will pretty much remain the same. On the expenditure side, the net increase of personnel and operating costs is approximately $5.1 million between the two. And that is due to change in staffing, salary, pay for performance, COLA, retirement, and health insurance adjustments, as well as other contractual increases in operating costs. Capital outlay requests decreased by $1.1 million, and that's just based on changes in capital demands from year to year. A large part of that decrease is because we had the body-worn camera program funded in the previous year, and that was offset with grant funding. The transfer out to the Capital Improvement Fund decreased by $8.6 million, primarily due to the reduction in the demand-driven revenues for fiscal year 25 and 26, as well as limited available funding for capital projects. So, we just went over the revenue slide. There were a lot of revenues in the red and reduction, so we had to pivot accordingly. We funded what we needed to fund in order to maintain our current services, and then the new request is where we had to take another look at to see how we could balance the budget, and that included our capital projects. So as we move forward, it's going to be essential to prioritize funding for maintenance-related capital projects before we commit to any new initiatives. Our major capital projects for the upcoming year still are the Fire Station 113 construction, the PD department improvements, and the Main Street infrastructure and Village Green Park. And we're going to continue to secure the funding for those priorities as we move forward. Contingency decreased by about $900,000, and in fiscal year 25, we just include reserves for the school zone safety program in the event it didn't start in fiscal year 25, which luckily we did that because now we're gearing up and it will start in fiscal year 26. And then resources available represents the projected ending fund balance reserve for fiscal year 26. I did want to note that Whenever we prepare the budget, we anticipate that 10% of the operating costs are going to fall out because we don't spend the budget down fully. So we may have vacancies throughout the year. We may have turnover. We may have things that we plan for that we don't have to spend. So when you look at that, you'll see like use of fund balance is higher than available resources, but we don't plan to hit fund balance. We just budget it that way that we have what we need during the year for operations. But at the end of the year, it should all fall out and fall in place. All right, so this is all our new requests, our program modifications for the general fund. As you can see, it's about $1.7 million in requests. We're not going to go through those in details right now. We'll talk about them as we walk through the budget and go through each departmental request. And this is just a total of our capital outlay request for the general fund, which is about $700,000, and we'll also go through all of those later on in the workshop. So this slide shows our proposed rates and fees for the upcoming fiscal year. So the budget includes a proposed millage rate of 6.8988 mills, which is the same rate that we submitted to the property appraiser that will be included on the trim notice that will be mailed out in the mid to late August. And it's the same rate that we have for our current fiscal year. The increase in taxable value for homesteaded properties is set by state statute, and it's based on the CPI, which was 2.9% this year. The proposed budget also includes a 10% increase in the annual fire assessment rate across all property types, including single-family homes, multifamily units, and mobile homes. This adjustment is necessary to support the ongoing cost of delivering high-quality fire protection services, including the financial impacts of the collective bargaining agreement that we implemented in fiscal year 25. The proposed increase will help the city continue to take a proactive approach to fire rescue operations, remain competitive with surrounding jurisdiction in terms of salaries and benefits, and uphold the exceptional level of service that our fire rescue department is known for and takes great pride in delivering for the Coconut Creek residents. The solid waste collection and disposal rate for single-family home is proposed to increase by 4.5% to $326.54 annually. That's an annual increase of about $14. So this slide is one of the most important slides in the presentation. It illustrates the impact of the proposed millage rate, fire assessment, and solid waste assessment on a typical homesteaded property. Using a single-family home with an average taxable value of $285,000 as an example, a homesteaded resident will see an overall annual increase of approximately $101, or about $8 on a monthly basis. And that's once you factor in the ad valorem, the fire assessment increase, and the solid waste increase. The taxable values for City of Coconut Creek have gone up by a total of 6.51% for fiscal year 26. This increase can be broken down into two components. You have 6.47% due to reassessment, and then you have 0.04% due to new construction and additions. And as I mentioned earlier, for the residents with the Save Our Home homestead exemption, their assessed value will increase by 2.9%. We also have several new developments that will likely be under construction or completed in fiscal year 26, and that includes Greystar Logistics, Century Self-Storage at Strata, and the Lincoln Auto Dealership. So, you know, when I have staff meeting, my question is, when are they going to get COs on any of these items? Because that's when it's added to the property tax base. So hopefully some of those, we have some projects which will be finished this year that will add value. Yeah. So the next slide, I know it's a little hard to read, but it's this slide just shows a historic look at the city's operating millage rate for the past several years. And as you can see, the rate has remained relatively consistent from year to year. The exceptions are in fiscal year 2011, which was as a result of the recession and property tax reform. We had to make some adjustments there. The next increase was in 2018 when we raised the millage to provide revenues for the transition for dispatch services. And then the next increase was in fiscal year 25, which was needed to help fund our public safety capital cost. And this slide just shows where we land in terms of millage rates as compared to all the other Broward County municipalities. And you'll see that of the 31 municipalities, we're still within the top 2/3 in terms of millage rates. This slide shows our fire assessment comparison for single-family residents to some of the surrounding cities that are close to Coconut Creek. And as you can see, our proposed rate is still in line and comparable to that of several of our surrounding cities. And this is the solid waste assessment slide, and it just shows the increase over fiscal year 25, and it shows the rate going up by 5.5% and $14.06 for the year. So with that, I wanted to move over to the Street Construction and Maintenance Fund. So this is the next major fund that we have. This slide shows the fund summaries for the Street Construction and Maintenance Fund. And as you can see here, we had a decrease of approximately $400,000 in the budget over fiscal year 25. We're also experiencing decreases in state shared revenues and allocations for fuel taxes in this fund. And on the expenditure side, we're seeing decreases in personnel costs due to the removal of the 3 vacant bus driver positions that I mentioned earlier as a result of route changes. So on this slide, expenses for this fund are funded through fuel taxes and state shared revenues totaling about $1.5 million, and the transportation surtax funded of about $388,000, which we use for street repair and maintenance as well as the community bus program. As mentioned before, there was a reduction in personnel cost on the expenditure side, and we do have a new capital outlay request in this fund, and it's for 2 Butterfly Express shuttle buses, which are contingent upon grant funding. All right, the next major fund is the Water and Wastewater Fund, which is supported primarily by water and wastewater fees. As shown as this slide, operating expenses increased by $2.1 million due to salary, health insurance, retirement, and paper for performance adjustments. But the large increase is coming from the increase in fees that are charged by Broward County Water and Wastewater Services. Since we don't have our own water or wastewater plants, a lot of our costs come from those operating costs and fees that we receive from the county. And we also have an increase in capital expenses of $2.3 million. So several years ago, we completed a water and wastewater rate study, which includes a 10-year comprehensive analysis of our revenue and expenses for the fund. Rates were determined based on projected growth and development, as well as projected operational expenses and capital needs. Earlier this year, the City Commission amended the Water and Wastewater Ordinance to allow for annual increases to match the fee increases imposed by Broward County Water and Wastewater Services. We're also actively monitoring the new EPA requirements regarding PFAS, and coupled with the current supplier market and the increase in operating and capital costs, staff will be closely monitoring the revenue and expenses in this fund to determine what the new rate increase will be, which won't be effective until June of 2026. So, we just had the rate increase in June of this year, and then the next rate increase will be effective in June of 26. And a lot can happen between now and then, so we're going to be monitoring the financial health of that fund and then bring forth what our recommendation is at that point. The fiscal year 26 Water and Wastewater Fund also includes several recurring infrastructure capital costs totaling $4.8 million. And those investments are the ones that keep us out of the newspaper and allow us to continue to operate our infrastructure. When there's flooding or whenever there's issues, we can be proactive and respond quickly to our residents because we take the time to proactively plan and maintain that infrastructure. And we also have an additional $1.5 million for the Advanced Meter Infrastructure Project, which is moving forward, and I promise we'll see it completed within the next several years. It took some time to get here, but we're very excited. We're just working through finalizing the RFP process and getting the contract together so we can move that forward. Let's see. The last major fund is the Stormwater Management Fund, which is supported primarily by our stormwater fees. As you can see from this slide, there were no major increases in revenues because that fee is going up by 3.1%, which is the CPI increase. We did have a reduction in operating costs and then an increase in capital outlay costs, as well as a decrease in the capital improvement program itself. And that's primarily just due to the timing of the funding for the Main Street infrastructure expansion, which was funded in fiscal year 25. By ordinance, the stormwater rate is scheduled to increase by the June CPI for the Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach area, which was 3.1%. So for single-family homes, they'll see an increase going from $5.08 per month to $5.24 per month, and that's per ERU. So depending on how many ERUs commercial properties have, then it's going to vary. And we use that to fund ongoing operated and capital costs. Personal expenses are proposed to increase due to salary adjustments, and the net decrease in operating cost is due to the reduction. No, that's not correct. Okay. The net decrease in operating cost is due to some realignment of maintenance costs that are now being shifted to the capital improvement program. Capital outlay increased by $800,000 to fund a vacuum truck that is needed for stormwater drainage needs. And projects funded from this fund include the recurring infrastructure maintenance projects like the stormwater drainage improvement, the concrete curbing, and the canal and lake bank restoration programs. And this is a summary of all the other funds that we have. On the accounting side, we're required to track different revenue sources separately from the rest for compliance purposes. So these are all the other funds that we have, and we'll go through those really quickly and highlight in just some of the major variances that you might see. So we have the Transportation Surtax Fund, which is funded by Broward County Transportation surtax proceeds, and for fiscal year 26, it includes $1.8 million for the design of the South Creek Neighborhood Improvement Project. We also have the Community Improvement Fund, which accounts for proceeds we received from the Seminole Tribe of Florida in accordance with our municipal service provider agreement, and we use that for current and future debt service payments. We also have the Affordable Housing Fund. It's used for fees charged to developers as a means to fund the city's affordable housing program. And we have earmarked $1 million from this fund to be used for the Workforce Housing Down Payment Assistance Program in accordance with the Main Street Development Agreement. We have the Community Development Block Grant Fund, which accounts for funding we receive from HUD that are specific to Coconut Creek capital improvements, of which we didn't have any allocations for this year. We also have the Seminole Mitigation Fund, which is funded through the mitigation agreement with the Seminole Tribe of Florida. These funds are used for capital improvements as well as fire rescue and police equipment replacement and any other expenses to mitigate the impact of those lands going into trust. And this year we'll be funding a fire rescue truck for Fire Station 113, 3 chair steers, CPR devices, ballistic vests and helmets, bunker gears, the officer safety program, the recreation complex interior rehab, as well as additional funding for the police department improvements design and improvements to the K-9 training facility at temporary Fire Station 113. The next we have the Capital Improvement Revenue Bonds Fund, which is just a debt service fund that we use to hold debt service payments until it's time to pay that to the banks. The Park Improvement Fund is funded through developer fees, and that fund is pretty much depleted. We also have the Capital Financing Fund, which is used to account for projects that were funded with previous debt proceeds. This year we're going to be funding the sprinkler system and the epoxy flooring at Fire Station 94 and the sidewalk for City Hall art master plan that we need to install for the upcoming year. The 2009 Capital Projects Fund is used to account for the city's capital improvement projects that were funded through a previous revenue note. And again, it has a small balance that's almost completely depleted. Utility Underground Fund is used to account for fees charged to developers in placing utilities underground. We were able to complete the final phase of undergrounding of approximately 600 linear feet of utility lines along Park School Drive. And we also have set aside about $1.2 million to fulfill the requirements of the Main Street Development Agreement for undergrounding. The Public Safety Fund is used to account for fees charged by developers, and we're accumulating those funds to help with the cost of outfitting Fire Station 113 and the PD department improvements. The Capital Improvement Program Fund is funded by the General Fund, and it accounts for all the other capital projects that we have, including Main Street infrastructure expansion, the Village Green and parking garage design, and then our recurring capital projects like vehicle replacement, technology refresh, and so forth. And we'll go through all of that later in the presentation. We then have the trust donations and various other funds set aside for a specific purpose that are held in trust. For fiscal year 26, the Public Art Trust Fund will be used for the first phase of the City Hall Art Master Plan, and it includes allocations for high-performance government and safety and quality of life artwork. We're also actively working on securing the art piece for the Holocaust Memorial, which will also come from this fund. We also have revenues that we collect from federal, state, and local law enforcement forfeitures and seizures that we accumulate for law enforcement purposes. And then we have the grant funds, which is where we record all of our grant proceeds that we get from year to year. And then the Water and Sewer Capital Improvement Fund is also an impact fee fund that we use for large capital projects. That was a mouthful.
Right, so you may have in your package the donations information that was distributed last week. Based on the conversation last week, I did take it upon myself to make some revised recommendations, which we'll go through in more detail later. I did feel like the conversation about some of our hyper-local charities warranted consideration, so I have, for the round numbers, recommended reduction of the top two proposed donations, the Area Agency on Aging and the Early Learning Coalition, to be reduced by approximately 10%, and have spread those among what I refer to as sort of the hyper-local charities. So you'll see that when we get to the conversation about the donations, which I think we're going to do after lunch, right?
Yes, we can save that for after lunch.
Okay.
If I may, just to my colleagues, on this subject, every year we really talk in great detail about some of the donation amounts that come out, and I just want to say this because I think it's a really unique thing that Coral Springs does. Coral Springs has, since 1988, created the Coral Springs Community Chest. They have a nonprofit board, much like we have in Do the Right Thing, right, that consists of people in this city and activists, people that are not tied to any charities, and they administer the donation money for the city. So essentially, the pot of money that we have, we would give to whatever entity we create, but that entity could also raise money from the private sector as well. So hypothetically, if you had a good community partner that wanted to give back to the donations, they could write a check to whatever that entity was created, and we wouldn't be talking a lot about these dollars, which we spend a lot of time traditionally at these meetings talking about. So really just food for thought. You can look it up. It's the Coral Springs Community Chest. I think it's something that, with the right direction, we could probably have created by budget time next year, so we're not doing it, if there's a palette for that on the commission. And I kind of like the concept of private industry throwing money into that pot as well. Just food for thought.
Thank you.
I think it has been successful there, and very large events. So thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, is there a way that we can, I don't know if it's here's the venue or a different place at the time is the venue, obviously, to go over the details of that, how it would go, and the rollout, and et cetera, so forth? I do like the idea of taking it off of the commission and getting more residents involved in the process, which I think it does.
I think that's a very viable concept to consider. So what I'd like to suggest is that we go forward this year with the budget as proposed, and then over the next several months, you let staff develop the concept and propose a rollout, and it'll come before you for approval.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
And just in case, because the agenda was relatively heavy last Thursday night, I did move the approval of the design services for the Fire Station 113 to the next meeting, just to keep the agenda manageable. So I know we didn't really talk about that tonight. during this conversation, but that will be on your next agenda for approval, which would be authorizing the contract for the design for the fire station. According to my earlier schedule, we're a couple weeks behind, but the reason I'm telling you that is just because the agenda was so heavy, I felt it was appropriate to move it out.
Okay. So you want to start?
Do you want to take a, oh,
Do you want to start? Because next we're going to be going through and walking through the budget.
it's 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Do we want to do a 5-minute stretch?
Oh, no? Okay. Okay.
5-minute stretch?
Yep, 5-minute stretch.
I am.
That'll be fine. We'll resume meeting.
Yes. I was waiting. I'm trying to push Jackie up. We did not give him a time certain. Oh, we did. Ah.
We ready? Are we ready to resume?
We're ready.
Okay, thank you. We will resume the meeting. Thank you. Okay. Sheila, will you
Yes,
lead us
and I
in the
know,
donations?
I understand there was conversation with some of the nonprofits, and I did speak to several of them over the weekend, asking to be for an approximate time that we would consider this, and we did tell them after lunch. I did speak with them over the weekend and let them know this was a workshop. So it's your pleasure, Mayor, if you want to wait till after lunch or if you want to go ahead and have the conversation now.
Well, I think now, since we have the information, I would like to proceed with the donations. Precedent in the past is that we haven't had public input at these workshops, and I think we should honor that precedent.
And I will let you know that I did speak, I know Laura Madrick was here on Thursday evening. I did speak with her over the weekend and let her know what my intention on a revised recommendation would be.
Okay. And I believe since we are altering these donations, that this is the best possible route to take. We will all take it into consideration, and I think we're in good shape. So I'd like to proceed. Thank you.
Okay, so before you, you have a revised spreadsheet with proposed staff recommendations related to donations. The top two agencies are dependent upon our donations for the purposes of federal match. We did confirm that they are still expected to get those federal matches. However, it's not required that we meet that maximum donation. Because of the hyper-local nature of some of our charities and the points that were raised Thursday night, I felt it was appropriate to consider some revisions. And so what you have before you is my recommendation. It's certainly up to you to make that final recommendation. And then, of course, over the next year, we'll look at that idea of the community trust so that this isn't part of our budget conversation.
Mayor? I
Yes,
weigh in
Commissioner
and definitely very much appreciate the recommendations and the accommodations, and given that we're ending up with the same total budgeted amount and not taking it away from any city services. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Yes, Commissioner Brody.
I think so, too. I think this was a nice, happy medium. The bottom dollar didn't change, but where do the funds go? I think we need to look out for the ones that look out for us locally, and I think this is a happy medium. I appreciate your effort in this, City Manager.
Thank you.
I agree. I think this is a great compromise, and it puts the funds where they would do the most work for our residents of Coconut Creek.
That's fine. I'll agree with it too. There are some really, I was reading the letters, there are some really incredible things that some of these organizations are doing. I found the Sweet Dream Makers to be one of the most unique charities that require, I think it's really cool. You really don't think about kids not having beds and how unique that it did affect, I forget how many residents here in Coconut Creek. It was 21 or something.
I think 32.
But I just find that, I find when we contribute, those are the types of things that I really value and I appreciate. And I think, I wish we could give them more than 1,000, but I'm not gonna die on a sword for it. I'm totally okay going with the flow here. But those are the things that really impact, people, right? And you just never think about, people's beds and sleeping situations like that until it's presented to you and you're in a position to really make a change for the better. So, and also the diaper bank I think is really important as well. these are things that give products directly to residents of Coconut Creek that can take advantage of it. It's not just, you know, for certain cities. It's for the area, and they can reach out for it. I do see what's happened here with the Women's Club increasing by $1,020. And I do also see there was another increase on here from the multicultural, got an increase as well, which I think is great. But I will say the SOS Children's Village, I do think should get more than the Women's Club, but I'm not gonna, you know, I think that's affecting children. That's really important. That's a huge part of our city. But to think that the Women's Club's getting $7 grand and the Children's Village is getting $7 grand, it's questionable. I think some residents would question that. But if the motive with the commission is to go with it, I'll stick to it.
Thank you. Disclaimer, I am not contagious. This is residual effects, so we can all rest assured I'm okay. Thank you. Okay. Any other comments on donations? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. I'm okay. Thank you.
So
Okay.
do we have a consensus to go with the staff recommendation?
Do we? Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yes.
moving on to.
Okay. All right, thank you. So now we're going to start the walkthrough of the proposed budget, department by department. So the first one is City Commission, just some objectives, set laws, local laws and policies through ordinances and resolutions, approves the annual budget and oversees financial decisions, establishes priorities for city services, programs, and long-term planning, adopts zoning and land use regulations to guide development, appoints members of advisory boards, committees, city manager, and city attorney, represents community interests and engages with residents, and ensures accountability and transparency in local government. And there were no new requests for the City Commission department. Any questions on that one before we move forward? No? Okay. City Attorney, objectives. Continue to provide legal advice and review of contracts and policies, including oversight of the development of the Main Street area. Continue to represent the city in legal proceedings, including litigation, disputes, and regulatory matters, included but not limited to the expansion of the landfill, the proposed Florida Turnpike expansion. Continue to provide updates regarding case law and legislative changes. Provide timely, effective, and ethical legal advice regarding sunshine law, public records, and parliamentary procedures to support daily operations, ensure compliance with laws, and protect the city's legal interests, as well as provide support for the upcoming maybe that's the redistricting board. Continue to provide legal review of agreements and the sale of the Alpha 250 property. So for City Attorney's Department, we do have a program modification, and it's for outside legal counsel for the Monarch Hill landfill and the Florida Turnpike expansion for $1.5 million. I know during the strategic planning session we had requested $2 million for this effort, but we've started to incur some fees there. So based on the timing, I think 1.5 would be sufficient for next year. It provides for legal action against waste management in Broward County, as well as action against the Florida Department of Transportation regarding Turnpike expansion, and it does include expert fees and cost. If for whatever reason this funding is not needed, it will fall out and it will remain in the general fund for appropriations in future years. Any questions on the city attorney's budget? Okay, move on to city manager. Objectives for the upcoming fiscal year includes monitoring the Florida's Turnpike expansion process, monitoring the solid waste disposal issues within Broward County to create a comprehensive solid waste system while still managing the negative impacts of the landfill, work with the MPO in Broward County to maximize funding for Coconut Creek transportation projects, oversee the completion of an economic development and long-term financial strategy, oversee the Main Street development, maximize grants and appropriation opportunities, engage the community through city programs and services, including strategically deploying ambassadors, formalize a citywide succession plan, and finalize the resident survey, analysis, and action plan. There are no new requests for the city manager's department. Moving on to community relations. The objectives for the upcoming year include researching and implementing best practices on the Nextdoor platform, producing the minimum of 2 videos per campaign for Creeks Eat, Creek Cares, and Creek Vets, implement and promote current and upcoming city events, initiatives, and programs via social media trends, promote GIS maps and efforts through Map of the Month initiative, promoting city projects on the website, and sharing project planning visuals and map trivia. And they'll continue to provide high-quality campaign videos that promote transparency and highlight our residents. And there are no new requests for community relations. And with that, we move on to City Clerk. Upcoming objectives includes expanding the records management system and deployment by improving indexing, onboarding more departments, and enhancing public access to city records. Manage all aspects of public records requests, including fulfilling the request through the system, conducting mandatory training for employees, and regularly reviewing policies and procedures for compliance with best practices. They will also convene the 2026 Redistricting Board, including acquiring consultant services, coordinating board appointments, publishing meeting agendas, and producing minutes. They'll continue the strategic inventory of the city's records to improve preservation. They'll launch and optimize the city's Artificial Intelligence Committee to guide responsible innovation by evaluating emerging technologies, identifying pilot opportunities, developing governance policies, and ensuring ethical, efficient, and transparent adoption of AI across all departments. I'm very excited for that one. Thank you, Joe. And they'll also implement a strategy for a paperless e-signature cloud solution to enhance efficiency. I did want to point out that in the line item detail in the budget book for City Clerk, some of the items they're a little bit off. They were keyed in the incorrect line items. The total budget is the same. The total amount by account is saying it's just not lined up. So I do request that we fix that for the actual final budget book that will be coming back to the Commission in September. Thank you. All right, next is Finance and Administrative Services. So objectives. This one? Oh, no. Veronica will answer any questions you have. All right, so the objectives for the upcoming year include in reviewing and enhancing the citywide long-term financial policies, evaluating the ERP system and considering alternative options, especially in the areas of payroll and budgeting, streamlining processes and leveraging technologies such as artificial intelligence for enhancements and efficiencies. A lot's going on in the area of AI and finance, so we're trying to find a system that will do our bank recs for us, but we're still looking. Continue to actively monitor and evaluate the financial aspects of the ongoing development of the Main Street project, ensuring that it aligns with our long-term economic objectives. Initiate the process to secure debt issuance to finance Fire Station 113 and the PD improvements. Continue to deploy the AMI rollout, conduct research to promote the utilization of AMI customer portal, encouraging customers to use water consumption alerts and notifications to foster water conservation, and also improve customer transparency and reduce billing disputes by offering real-time usage data and historical reports through AMI. And there are no new requests for finance. All right, moving on to information technology. Objectives include implementing key recommendations from the IT security audit and continue to enhance the city's cybersecurity infrastructure through updated protocols, system improvements, and staff training. They also secure funding. They're working to secure funding through the Community Project Funding Initiative to build a resilient fiber optic infrastructure that, contingent upon funding, will enhance redundancy and enables uninterrupted access to municipal services. They'll also manage the wireless access point refresh project to minimize downtime and improve network performance. And they will initiate a formal succession planning process to preserve institutional knowledge, promote cross-training among staff, and ensure continuity of operations in critical functions.
And before you move on, I just want to highlight the IT security audit that we conducted this year. Has several components, but it provided a very clear work list of items that needed to be completed, and IT is systematically working through the highest priority of those items. It's just been a wonderful transition to see a clear list of what needs to be done and the boxes being checked off.
All right, thank you. All right, so we move.
Absolutely moving with urgency and being focused on disaster preparedness and security. Big deal.
All right, so we'll move on to the Human Resources and Risk Management Department. The objectives for the upcoming year include engaging in collective bargaining within the 2 fire bargaining units, advancing citywide succession planning initiatives to strengthen organizational continuity, exploring employee benefits enhancement, incorporating Secure 2.0 compliance options and requirements, which was a federal requirement for us. We also partner with departmental safety representatives to implement a formal citywide schedule of safety activities, and we'll complete a comprehensive citywide classification and compensation study. Are there any questions for HR and risk management?
Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner Welsh.
City Manager, is this appropriate, or are each of the departments coming forward, or?
So if you have questions on individual items, each department can come forward now and address them.
Well, it was just a question that I had about specific BHAP services for our first responders. And I know it's not included in this budget, but it was just an inquiry. The answer that we received was that there was not a specific provider, but I did have the name of one, and I was hoping in the future we would be able to address that, but not specifically this year. I know we're too late in the game, but if you can speak to that.
Sure. Your request did come my way this weekend, and so we would certainly need a little time to look into it, but it's absolutely something we'll look into and get back to you in the near future.
So I think that the distinction is it's a little bit of a different model than the model that we are currently implementing. So we'll look at the 2 models and make recommendations on the efficacy of the models and the cost.
I totally get it, and I understand it would be specific to them and not really conducive to the majority of the general population. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Sure. And I know there were also questions related to the comp and class study, so if you want to ask those now.
Oh, you know that was coming.
I did know that. Finger was
Commissioner Brody.
Like I'm playing a video game of it. So once again, it's come back up. We talked about it last year, the $60,000 to evaluate these jobs. In 365 days, isn't that what it was, 60,000?
I think it's 50.
50, 50, 60 at this point, it's still a lot of money. In 365 days, we haven't come up with a better solution than going back to an outside resource. Because let me get, before you answer.
Okay.
It says right here at the beginning of the study that it says, completed a thorough evaluation of department staffing levels, implemented strategic reorganization, blah, 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 blah. But we did that without that $50,000 study. So how did we do that without that?
Perhaps I can clarify what this is, because in-house, we do compensation studies ongoing, throughout the year, every year, looking at making sure that certain positions, especially hard-to-fill positions, are paid appropriately and so forth. The objective or accomplishment you mentioned were specific to certain departments where we had turnover, like police and fire, where we had to do some reorganizations within the department. It was time sensitive. Best practice is to have an outside consultant do a comprehensive classification and compensation study every 5 to 10 years. It's been 12 years for us since we've done one. And that does go beyond just looking at what other cities are paying and then making sure we're paying similar compensation. It gets into looking at all of the job descriptions, making sure we're classifying all of the positions appropriately under the Fair Labor Standards Act. Outside consultants have very specialized skills in compensation analysis and tools that they can use to make sure our spreads are appropriate from minimum to maximum. The career growth from MSW 1 to 2 to 3 are all appropriate, that we don't have compression within positions. and to reevaluate our entire pay plan. You know, we have pay grades. Minimum wage has increased substantially in Florida over the past few years, so we need to make sure that that aligns with ours. There's a lot that goes into it,
Okay.
and I don't want you to think that we're not doing this in-house regularly, because we are, but the scope of this particular,
So is it a requirement of the city, county, or state to do this study?
it's not a requirement.
It's not a
no.
requirement. It's more of an-
It's a best practice, and we
It's a best practice.
do
So-
want to make sure we keep up. All of the other cities do it. Margate and Coral Springs, for
Oh,
example,
don't
have.
put us with Margate. What are you doing? You got to use a
Okay,
better one
I
than
won't
that.
mention Margate. Coral Springs, Coral Springs, is that better?
All right. So let me ask
And
you this.
And the dollar amount.
Did
for-
this go out to bid for the contract?
Not yet, no, because it hasn't been
Okay,
approved
so
yet.
we're putting it is a holder? So what happens when it's $70,000, $80,000 to come back? Because their prices change too.
Well, I can tell
So-
you that the M City and Coral Springs both paid in the low 40s in the last year or two.
So the 50,000 is a placeholder?
Correct.
Budget. It's only for the purposes of budgeting, so that we have the funds available to do the request for proposals.
Okay. I'm not going to argue it this year, and the only reason I'm not going to argue it is because your overall change was only 3.7, and I do have a threshold of 4.5. So
lucky.
I'm questioning it, but I'm not going to stop them happening this time around. I just think that once we do this, we kind of plan accordingly in the 5 years that we say, okay, we're going to put this out to bid so we have a better number coming into budget time rather than a placeholder. Can we do that?
Is that, I
So
don't
the
think that's a
traditional-
process we normally do. We wouldn't normally do a request for a proposal until
But we know
we
this.
have
We
the
know
money
they're going to do
budgeted.
this every 5 years, right? So it's something that we can plan to.
5 to 10 years.
I would say we plan to it.
I would-
How about that?
I would like to defer to Peta Gay. She looks like she wants to jump on the procurement process piece
So
of this.
before we can even issue a solicitation or a request for proposal, we have to have the budget available, because we can't commit through that process unless it's in the budget. So right now, we're just adding the funds to the budget, and then we still have to go through that process of selecting a vendor. When we
So
do
will this
that,
come back to us, or is it just going to be? Is it under your?
Isn't it? So it depends. I mean, if it is under 50,000.
If it's under
it would
50,000, it'd be yours, right?
My signature, so I'd just advise you that I've done it.
All right. That's all.
And obviously, our goal is to keep it under 50,000, because that's all we would have budgeted.
All right. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
All right, great.
thank you, Pam. So move on to sustainable development. And if you want to, hopefully you're following along in your books that as you go through the pages. If you have any questions or need clarification and anything, just stop me, just let us know.
You lost it.
Back somewhere.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the objectives for sustainable development includes implementing the recommendations outlined in the economic redevelopment strategy, including redevelopment of key areas, creating a building permit and plan review concierge program for development projects, initiating the citywide tree canopy coverage study, implementing the City Hall Art Master Plan, implementing the design phase of roadway improvements, including connectivity enhancements and design elements within the Main Street area, initiating the Main Street surtax projects for Column Road to provide an east-west complete street connection, initiating the transit plan or mobility hub for the Main Street area to enhance multimodal transportation initiatives, streamlining the building safety inspection program to enhance efficiency in reporting and tracking, and implement a permit processing, plan review, and inspections process for the Main Street at Coconut Creek project, utilizing in-house staff and building services consultants as needed, and identifying and applying for grants to support the city's capital improvement program. And there were no new requests for sustainable development. If there are no questions, we'll move on to the police department. Objectives include enhancing police recruitment efforts by showcasing opportunities to build a high-performing workforce through strategic outreach and engagement initiatives, fostering a workplace culture that attracts, engages, and retains high-quality employees. We're also going to leverage data analysis tools to identify crime trends, forecast hotspots, and evaluate law enforcement strategies by streamlining processes. We're also going to regularly assess the effectiveness of the body-worn camera in school zone safety enforcement programs and initiatives, and enhance the efficiency of internal affairs investigations by improving processes, defining clear objectives, providing training, and standardizing procedures. And we do have some new requests for the police department. The first one is the Homeless Engagement Assistance and Resource Team, or HART, program for $3,500. And basically what that will do is provide for additional services for the homeless. It includes providing transportation to help to reunite them with family members, providing meals and so forth. So it's just an extension of the services that Broward County provides, and we wanted to go a little bit above and beyond to help reunite the homeless with their families.
Can I?
Yes.
Fred, do you want to come on, please? So this $3,500, what does that represent? What was that cost going to?
So I think Peter Gay mentioned there was an extension of what the county already offers. The problem is the county, once the funds are gone, we have no access to it anymore. This would just secure funds on our own to make sure that these things continue throughout the year.
So what would happen when it comes to the police officer engagement with this piece of it? Are we paying for the police to take them to these places? I'm missing something here.
Meals out of pocket not out of pocket. So for bus rides to meet family or housing, you get them housing, you get them meals, whatever.
So how much labor are we putting towards this in our police officer force to this program?
Not as much as we have in the past. It's kind of dwindled a little bit.
Okay.
But you mean in dollar amount or
Well,
in time?
so it takes 2 or 3 hours. That's 2 or 3 hours of
yeah.
X amount of city dollars to that police officer to engage a homeless person to get him to a different outreach.
Okay, so average, I would say an hour to 2 hours when it happens, when it occurs. But again, we've kind of been on top of moving these folks along. We're already getting them services in the last couple of years, so it's starting to get better, the situation.
Okay. Off the top of your head, how many hours do you think that is in a week or a month?
In a week, maybe 6 to 10 hours.
So it's still costing our city 40 hours a month to deal with this. So what is the $3,500? Just gives us what? Access to these resources?
Yes.
Cash?
Cash to get those things done. Bus
Taking the blunt road.
tickets.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that's all I was asking.
Mayor, you go. I'm sorry. You want to go?
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Commissioner Wasserman.
No, I think this is great. I mean, providing resources to the police to help the homeless. I mean, that just protects our residents. I mean, overall, right? What have we seen with the? Maybe it's not the forum, but maybe you could just piggyback with the property on Atlantic and Lyons being taken out. What have we seen in homeless interaction since that's been happening? And that might understand this a little bit better.
In that area, it's dropped to almost zero. We haven't had any issues in that area. Coconut Creek Plaza was a hot spot along Hillsborough Boulevard, and is a hot spot every now and then, but in that area, it's almost nothing.
In the plaza, what's
Coconut Creek Plaza?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the situation's got better there.
Okay.
That's really where the hot spot for this activity. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Chief, so it's safe to say that our engagement with the homeless has lessened
Yes, that is correct.
significantly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's great. Thank you.
I guess I just want to touch on something in the budget that's more of a precautionary tale, which is the increase of about, I think, $400,000 and change for E911. So obviously we're under a contracted rate. I mean, you warehouse it under your budget, you eat it. I mean, even
Yes.
though arguably because it deals with both first responder services, but I think when we started it, we didn't have fire in house, of course. So you warehouse that.
Yes.
So if maybe Chief Blizzard, just to be aware of really the conversation, it's more of a precautionary tale because the first year we ate the cost of it. It was in the 1 and change realm, and now we're at 3.4. So just, I mean, you got to address these things at meetings like this. We're talking about a doubling in what we're paying Coral Springs for 9/11. Now, I think we can all agree residents are happier, residents are safer, our first responders are safer, we're in a better position. But we're going to have to figure out that's going to come to a place of unsustainability at some point if we're talking about $400,000 annual increases and just trying to figure out a better way to address it. And I don't know what that is. Years ago, we talked about a regional taxing district. Listen, I don't know the answer, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up in this forum. And there's not really an answer I'm looking for you, Fred, but I think that's when we're looking on a trajectory outward, we need to address that. And I don't know, we're bound by we signed what, a 10-year deal with the Springs, Harold? I think it was I think it was a 10-year deal with another 10-year backup on it or something,
Yes.
if I recall correctly. But if you do the math on that every year, you know, we're 7 years into this, we're going to be paying them $6-7 million. You know, that's a big chunk of your budget.
Yeah, yes, it
So
is.
I say it because I don't know the answer today, but I think we all need to maybe get a little creative, especially on the heels of what, you know, the sheriff's attempting to do with his salaries, on the heels of, you know, potentially who's going to be running 9/11. I don't know the answer, but I just think, you know, when I look at those budget items, just jumping, that's something that jumped out in your budget. Obviously, I support you guys, and any of these programs I fully support, but I don't know the answer, but we need to figure out a creative solution because of the exponential nature of how it's going up. Thank you.
Good point.
To your point, I think the increase, although not directly related, is somewhat related in the county's 911 utilization of our EOC top floor. And if we can ever get them out of there, and before our administration building is built, we'll be able to accommodate some of that savings for the next few years in the increases from the 911 for our external provider. But until then, I totally agree we have to look at overall, but getting the sheriff out of our building will help significantly in the rental and leases that we're utilizing to house our fire administration. Doesn't come cheap.
No, and
It's worth it, doesn't come cheap.
Just as a point of information, you know, because the PSAP, in the lease that we negotiated, we provided, knowing how difficult it is to evict a 911 call center, a holdover period where they are required during that holdover period to pay our lease at the police and at the fire administrative offices in addition to their rent, which will start October 1st.
That's like a different, you know, Sandy, I get what you're saying, but that's a different pot of money, right? I understand that's actually in Blizzard's money, not his money. So what we're talking about is how we set up 911, and I say it out of genuine concern of maybe when none of us are here anymore about what this looks like in 10 years of the ability of sustaining our own 911 system with Coral Springs.
Right.
That's all. So total apples and apples, but you're dealing with the fire budget versus, because he's getting that tax break on the lease because he doesn't have to pay. I don't mean he. I mean Chief Blizzard doesn't have to pay rent because he's getting that when Chief Hofer has to eat the entire cost.
I was just looking at total dollars overall.
I got
Yeah.
you. I just, you know, I don't know the solution.
We're thinking similarly, just in different routes.
I'll work on it.
Yeah. Have we any idea? I mean, there is an enormous amount of equipment and trained personnel involved in a dispatch unit. Do we have any idea of what costs could be?
So separate the two issues. One is the existing police, the PSAP that we have here, and our relationship with Coral Springs. They have been very transparent with us in the actual costs and have only charged us the actual cost increases. But Commissioner Rydell raises an interesting point, and I do think it's time that we start, you know, a conversation with Coral Springs about what the long-term relationship should be. I think, you know, Catherine and I are, you know, phone of friends. I think we should start that conversation and see where it takes us.
And the reason I bring it up is because years ago we tried to talk about a taxing district. Those exist. Like we could potentially create some form of a public safety taxing district with Coral Springs, Parkland, Coconut Creek. It's a real concept and objective.
Right.
So I bring that up because those are the discussions that you need to, because you need legislative action for that, to have some sort of taxing district, which will save us all a ton of money, but you need all those other commissions respectively. And I include Parkland in that only because even though they're a contractor, they have two channels they're operating on.
Right.
Really, they're operating on Coral Springs and PSO, depending on who's responding,
Right.
which I don't know if Parkland intends to keep that. So that's why I bring it up, because part of our legislative agenda has to be down the road, that if we're going to go this route, you got to set those, you know, you got to get those pins out early. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that would be a great workshop.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And then the next new request for the police department is the citywide access control system. It's for all our gates and our doors, just the access to those facilities. Where current vendor is not being very responsive, so we're looking to make a transition. Some of the items and the equipment can be reused, but this is just to allow us to be more proactive in making repairs for our doors and our access system. All right, so if no more questions for police, we'll move on to fire. Thank you. All right, so the upcoming objectives for the Fire Rescue Department includes continuing to review and evaluate the dispatch of emergency resources and implement improvement initiatives to reduce overall response time. Continue to pursue accreditation within the Commission on Fire Accreditation International through a comprehensive self-assessment process that they're currently working on. Continue working to accomplish the goal and objectives identified in their 5-year community-driven strategic plan. They're also going to develop an assessment of the impact of the community paramedic program that they implemented this year. They're going to continue to provide education and enhancements for the BHAP program. And they're going to continue to install the traffic preemption devices at designated intersections and traffic signals to help enable more rapid emergency response times. And they're going to begin implementation of a professional development program to enhance skills and knowledge of their current and future members through succession planning. So there were a few new requests for the Fire Rescue Department, the first of which is a program modification to implement an honor guard program. The cost is $32,000. Most of it, that cost is to purchase uniforms for the honor guard program, so it's going to be a one-time expenditure. I believe we're if not the only, but one of the only fire rescue departments that do not have an honor guard program in Broward County. So this is definitely something that we'd like to move forward with. Pardon? Bagpipes too? That'll be next. All right. On the capital outlay side, we have 2 of the traffic preemption systems that we're going to be installing. We're also looking to get 2 PAPR devices for fire inspections. They're a little bit smaller and easier to carry than the SCBA gear that the firefighters use. So whenever they have to do investigations, the fire inspectors can utilize these devices to go in. And this one I'm very excited about. Not only because it's a wonderful item, but also because the fire department came ready with their grant application and ready to go on this. So it's a fire safety trailer, and basically what it does, it sets up like a kitchen or a room, and you can take it to different location and have kids utilize it to teach them fire safety requirements, like, making sure they have 2 exits for every room, looking at the effects of fires in the kitchen and so forth. So it cost about $215,000, but they got a grant for the majority of it. And I'm very excited for this one. I don't know if Brian, you want to come up and say anything else about it, but definitely a very creative idea and something that would be great for the community.
I'm excited too. No, it's definitely a great tool. In my previous life, we had one of these fire safety trailers, and it's mobile. That's one of the biggest benefits of it. And we can take it to schools. We can take it to different events. It can showcase public education. It does exactly what Peter Gay was saying, that it talks about fire safety, getting out of a building. You can smoke it out. There's all kinds of public education components that are built into these safety trailers. And if we can get this grant, that would be a tremendous, tremendous gift to our community.
I just have, when I did this, when we had our budget meeting, I talked about the fire assessment, and I guess, I don't know if this, I assume it applies to Blizzard, but I don't know if this is whatever. Sure. So since 2021, since the inception, right, we're almost doubling the assessment. It's $50 shy of the doubling. For somebody who, if you're living in Coconut Creek, you're seeing things go up every year, right? We're seeing the waste go up, our solid waste fee. We're seeing a fire assessment going up. When we increase the fire assessment, what is exactly what is it exactly going towards? What is the because at the end of the day, it'd be nice if we never had an increase on anything, right? It was just a flat, hey, what But I get it, right? I understand. But perception is things are going up, right? Here we go. The city's raising this again or raising that. So just a little information and understanding of that assessment fee.
I'd just actually like Peter Gay to walk through the percentage of that goes to salaries and the direct personnel costs first, and then we'll talk about the other add-ons.
Correct. So the majority, I know we are proposing a 10% increase for the upcoming year, and a majority of that actually goes to the increase in the salaries and the benefits for our firefighters. I know every year costs go up. We do have to remain competitive for fire personnel, and we have to have a mechanism to recoup that cost. So it's through the fire assessment. I know you mentioned that the fee has almost doubled since 2021, but a large part of that increase is due to us staffing Fire Station 113 because, that temporary station was new that year, and we had to staff it with personnel. So that's part of that increase that you're also seeing since that fiscal year 21. So most of it really is for the benefit of our firefighters and their salaries and benefits, and remaining competitive too, because we want to attract the best to serve the Coconut Creek residents, and we have to make sure we're competitive and we pay them well and we give them the benefits that they need to provide such a critical service for our residents.
And I hate to prepare you for next year as we get into fire union negotiations, because there is a move in Palm Beach County, Coral Springs, Miramar, starting to creep to alternative schedules, which to remain competitive will further impact our fire assessment and the out-of-pocket costs, the direct number of fire personnel we need to staff those kind of schedules. So just, I hate to say it, be prepared if it's going to get worse. There does need to be, we do need to be looking at the long-term cost. I've scared Brian a little that we do need to be putting our arms around the costs of personnel, but the trends around us are continuing to increase.
All right.
Just briefly, I'd like to, in future workshops, carve out the joint items because, for example, Brian gets the benefit of not showing an increase on certain shared items in public safety, right? So when you have a public safety budget, you're getting, Fred's takes it on the chin a little bit more just because of how we're established before, bringing in a secondary unit. And a good example, I don't want to go back to it, is 911 or something like that. Right. That traditionally would be from a public safety budget. So just in future years, if we could just really make a note of those two items, because it kind of, I don't want to say skews the numbers because I'm not suggesting that, but it makes the police budget look like it jumps a little higher than the fire budget on maybe there's a shared resource, not on a staffing issue or a servicing issue, just to keep it in perspective. So those shared budget items, if we can just highlight those, and just split them. And also, to Vice Mayor Wasserman's point, we talked about this, 6 years before we formulated the department, like a taxing district could alleviate some of those costs as well. So just, food for thought.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions for Fire Rescue? No?
I just want to have a comment about this morning at kindergarten to 8th Academy. Our fire staff was there, and the parents and the children were absolutely thrilled that our first responders were there. So I just want to say thank you for that. That was a great touch for the first day of school.
And Mayor, they were also at Winston Park with a poster even. I think the parents were more excited in seeing them than they were the new principal. Don't tell them I said that.
All right, thank you. So we'll move on to Parks and Recreation. So the objectives for the upcoming year include completing the Sunshine Drive and Donaldson Park improvements, establishing guidelines and policies for issuing permits related to small group and athletic training activities within park facilities, promoting the Pass Up Plastic policy by adding verbiage on all rental permit applications, implementing a revised Parks and Recreation fee schedule, and developing protocols and procedures for implementing an electronic signature system. So I just wanted to point out here that the Parks and Rec Department is working with a consultant right now to evaluate some of their operations, including special events. So we're working through that and getting input and suggestions. And once we have a more formal action plan, then we'll come back to the commission with updates.
Can Wayne come up?
Sure.
So I was reviewing. I think this is great data. I don't know who requested this, but this bullet point, but the South Creek Fitness, averaging 19, well, we'll say 20 people a day. I feel like that's, I don't want to say the word depressing, but we'll use it. Is there an effort to increase that to advertise, to motivate, encourage? I know the price for Creek Fit is already like super great, and what is that? But I also know then manning the station, costs us money. When I say the station, I mean the gym, to not have the number of people come in, and like you have to balance that, right? So what efforts have been taken, and what are we looking at, and are we maybe looking at repurposing? I mean, what's going on?
Currently, we recommend keeping it. Is it on?
No. It's on.
Okay. Yeah, currently we recommend keeping the south end because we do have people coming in there. We do only have one shift of staff that work each day, so we try to fluctuate a little bit to give some morning hours and then afternoon late hours based on staffing.
Is there, so when we go to the hotel, we go to a hotel gym, right? There's not a person working the gym.
Correct.
Right. Is there the option to not have somebody in the gym and just have a scan card for them to just walk in while people are downstairs in the facility?
Well, we looked into that, but because of liability, if you do that, and based on what we have, it does bring a big liability factor into it, which we talked to the risk, with Sanjeev on that.
Oh, okay.
And it's not recommended to go that route.
Okay. Because it could just have a scan card. They could just. I mean, I'm just thinking that way.
We do have free weights, though. That's what you got to take into consideration. A lot of those hotels or such have.
Well, they cap at like a certain weight, probably.
It's like Nautilus equipment where it's plated equipment.
Right.
Where we had the free weight equipment, and that would cause an issue with people dropping it.
Even with cameras throughout the whole gym and everything.
Yeah, it would be a problem.
Okay.
But it is certainly something that we do know there's an issue there, and we are not getting the attendance that we certainly can be looking at over the course of the year.
I also think I'm sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
I do think the location of it is kind of like, I'm not saying if it could be repurposed down. I don't know that, right? There's so much that can go into those things. But like the downstairs and the ABC room, I think, that could be, I mean, just thinking outside the box, because it kind of is like out of sight, out of mind in a way at that facility. But I appreciate what you're doing. I know you're putting effort into it, but there are residents who do reach out regularly about that gym and how it's not open when they go and this and that. And so just thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll look at
carrying on with what Mr. Mosman was saying, 4 o'clock closing on a Saturday, I mean, that's bothersome to me, because somebody now who's not even getting home till 5:30 at night, by the time I do my workout, it's 6 p.m. Mm-hmm. And then if I can't get my workout in, then I got to go to Saturday, which is full of kids events and everything that we do. With that, now I understand it's Sunday night because let everybody get their rest before Monday morning, but Saturday night should be open to the community to be able to fulfill being able to get with your kids and do things in the evening times. And so that closed at 4 o'clock, and we did a concert there. The entire gym, everything was closed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the problem is the hours are so squunched down in that facility that people are not being able to get in there and actually utilize the facilities. I think you'd see much more people on Saturday night playing basketball, much more people going to evening time workouts if that was available. So I think the time is probably one of the main issues that we have there. And not only that, in speaking of personnel, do you know what your turn rate is, your churn rate for employees?
I mean, we do have a lot of young staff on hand, so they do leave. But if you look across the board, most of our staff do stay.
It's a little concerning because sometimes, I get around the city and
a lot of it's young people. It's hours.
They're in and out.
Yeah.
And so that concerns me that churn rate equals training issues equals people not being able to do the job at a high performance rate that we like them to do here in Coconut Creek. So maybe you know, we think about how do we sustain those people to come in and stay. It might be an idea of maybe some management classes or some management, you know, some things that, because there's something going on. Because that turn rate's way too high for in my opinion.
Is there a number on that to like bring clarity to?
Just some program.
Yeah.
It's in the book.
There's a retention rate in the book.
The years of service. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I know we do have it. One of the things recently is that the employees from Parks and Recreation have been promoted to other positions in the city. So we have not lost them all, but there have been, you know, because the younger personnel, we do have a higher turnover
Hiring
rate.
people, Wayne? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we're like
Shame on you guys.
We're like the minor leagues. You know, we hire.
Well,
like
Wayne,
the
you
minor
also
leagues.
hire, you have the most amount of hourly employees.
And part-time.
Most hours.
You probably have the youngest department.
Yes.
You probably have entry level, and I think a lot of people in this, you'd agree that it's entry level. These people are getting
Correct.
a job here and then going to other places.
Correct.
Or it's like a lost college kid trying to find his way or something like that.
Correct.
And we're also losing.
And a lot of the young move, like we just had recently, one member that's been here for quite some time, move up to Orlando to his girlfriend. It's not that he didn't like staying here, he just wanted to move up. He was young, his girlfriend was up there, so he moved up there.
I think the issue is to not just location, but the demographics in the surrounding area. We have a lot of communities, like Winmore, that has their own fitness center. There's a lot of communities that have their own fitness center, and it's free, and they utilize all those classes and those gyms. So therefore, the community center isn't getting like it would get up north. But at the Creek, if maybe we can offer classes that they can't get other places, that might be something to consider as well. Just a thought.
Where is the, Sandy, in the book, where is the retention? I don't know.
Page 272, and it shows a retention rate as of the third quarter for this year of 98%, with an average years of service of 8 years.
So I just want to share with my colleagues something that I've in Parks and Rec, I've shared this with Wayne, I've talked to Sheila about it, just frustration with something that needs to be included and candidly and objective. You know where I'm going with this. So I don't ever want to blindside anybody. Some of our programming, some of our like kids programs, sports and things like that are very not as good attended as they have been in past years. You're seeing attendance drop in a time where we need attendance at an all-time high. I can't attribute that to anything. I mean, I think there's programming tweaks, but it goes way sub-level. What we need to do is we need to re-envision WebTrack. WebTrack is a terrible, terrible platform in the modern day age for like, when you're raising Olivia, you don't have the ability of just doing this. Like, I'm telling you this. You don't have the ability of being like, oh my God, here's the thing at the rec center. Boop, boop, I want to go. Our platform doesn't allow that at all. So it's just a very difficult platform. And I don't know if we have to enter like a pay up, or I know you have staff looking into it. So I just really wanted to share with everybody something that I've seen the difficulty of it. Just, when I went to register my girls for basketball this season, I only could register my dog. It had Ginger playing basketball, because she's in the program from the dog park. So, I mean, listen, that's inherently a little weird, a little wonky. We corrected it, but I say it because in the day and age where right now, and this is different from 10 years ago,
Right.
in the day and age right now that you could do anything on a click on your phone, the fact that you can't sign up for a class on WebTrack, you can't register for a sport on your phone. And I understand, to give Wayne some credit, his immediately goes, a big thing is residency. You want to make sure people are in the city and using this. I get that. But there's got to be some way, whether it's a tier-up WebTrack program, whether it's another city's program that we got to use. I would like maybe consensus to make sure that, and I don't think it's a spend, because the only thing I couldn't find, Wayne, I don't see where you byline it. So maybe you could highlight that to me. It's definitely not I don't know, it's not free.
No.
It's an administered web-based program. I know you have like 3 subcats in Parks and Rec where it appears to be maybe a subscription service or a computer service. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot with that right now. We just need to figure out what that is, and we need to potentially, upgrade that.
I think that should be a priority in bringing us up into 2025 to make it accessible. Apple Pay, all these different ways to pay for things should be really, quick and easy for the resident. So,
And we do have that. We have Apple Pay and Google Pay. We just implemented it at the Rec Complex Community Center, Creek Fit, and at Sable Pines Park. But to what Josh is saying, to
No
do it
cash,
more
though.
online, to
No
do
cash.
it quick,
Don't get me started on that. But
We're
that's
able
not-
But you got to keep your cash in Creek.
No gyms are taking cash anymore.
we need to make sure that the residents come into the site first to get their household together, because if we leave it upon them, we have a lot of our people that have friends outside the city, so they try to get in as residents, and that causes an issue. So
We just make
we just need to
pre-register.
find a different,
Well, if there was a platform where like they could upload like Clear is, I don't know if that's like, I mean, that's a big company, but like Clear, they upload their residency requirements and that gives them access. There's so many different avenues you could take. But what is, I know it's maybe off task, but what is the reason for no cash collecting for these things?
I'm going to tell
Hold on.
It's
Hold on. Yeah, you.
Oh, okay. As it relates to the no cash situation, the reason that there's no cash accepted at these facilities is because of the safety and security of staff, of carrying cash that we're required to deposit to the banks without protection. So we have a pretty firm policy that we have armored trucks picking up the cash here at City Hall so that it's deposited in a timely fashion. We have looked at the option, and the issue is the security of staff. I will cite my tennis situation over in Pompano, where the manager of the tennis courts takes big envelopes full of cash on her personal scooter to the bank. It's not safe.
Oh, my gosh.
Why would we think a staff member would do that though? Why,
Because that's how it operates in other cities.
but couldn't Brinks, like they come to City Hall, or I don't know if that's the company we
Yes, and
use,
it's-
but couldn't they
and
go to
it's
the rec
expensive.
center?
Yes, and that is absolutely the issue. We've
Okay.
weighed the cost of having the Brinks truck pick up whether it's $100 or $200. We did a whole analysis, so I can forward that analysis to you.
I got this argument a couple years ago. They did an analysis, and they told me no, so I backed off it. I'm just telling you, I was like a big cash guy. The analysis was because I was mad that we couldn't pay cash, and then I was like, you know what? It's actually really costly to take cash.
Right.
So I was
All
like, no more.
gyms don't take cash anymore. Planet Fitness went to that a long time ago.
We have different programs and such.
Yeah, but Planet Fitness is
So
2,000. You think they don't know what's
the
going
point,
on?
Vice Mayor, was, and I wanted to share with all you guys, because I know Wayne has his staff looking into the different options. We need to make it, for our sports, for our programming in Parks and Rec, the easiest way possible for people to engage in it, because I think you're going to see attendance increase. And I think in this day and age, the minute something is a little wonky, someone's like, screw it, I'm not going to do it. And I think we're not capturing our youth. And I think we got to be doing everything to capture our youth. In a day of maybe parents not as engaged, to race down to the rec center and sign them up.
We'll add that to the objectives for this year.
Okay.
Let's face it, when it comes to our kids and engagement of our kids, if the parents aren't spearheading these programs, if they're not forcing these kids to at least try these programs, that's where it initiates, from the parents. So we have to engage the parents, show them the benefits, show them how easy it is, show them that the kids will enjoy. It's a great experience. That's where we have to go with this, I think. We have to target the parents, to engage the parents, to engage the children.
And the annual subscription cost for RevTrak is $10,300, but I know if we were to shift to a different system, they come with upfront purchasing costs. So.
You brought it up, so I wasn't going to hammer you to that. Give me the exact byline item that you put that up.
It is under $46.75 on page 276.
Okay, so we're bylining under RMIT.
Yes.
Is that the sole item of RMIT?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ask a quick question, not to put you under the drill, but has the attendance, has it increased the attendance by having the extended hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the Creek Fit South Gym?
no, it just keeps it there.
It keeps it's stable? It's just
stable.
different people coming on
Yes,
Tuesdays and
yes,
Thursdays?
yes.
Because when I go on Tuesday and Thursdays, I see different people, so I was hoping that you're making that accommodation to later hours on those 2 days would be helping the overall numbers.
That's what we were hoping, but we did get residents that wanted it later when we kept it
Yeah.
only until 4.
Yeah.
So we went back to our COVID hours and increased it Tuesday and Thursday to help at least someone come in to get the workout, because we still do the exercise classes there.
I know.
So it gives them the
And those
opportunity.
seem very robust
Yeah,
because
it's
people
very-
are signing up and they fill
Yep,
of all ages. So it's just the gym.
Yes.
But there's the few people that come there seem to be very committed. So, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, thank you. So before you go, so we're going to move on to the next slide, which is a new request for Parks and Recreation. So the first one is a program modification for Butterfly Festival rides to provide resident priorities. So I know this one, we've done extensive research. We've looked at many different options, and right now the one that we have includes purchasing of tickets for non-residents, but we do ask that we just leave this as a placeholder for the upcoming year and allow us more time to continue to evaluate this item, because we're working with a consultant to come up with different options and different recommendations. Every option we look at has pros and cons. If we did a fast pass, then we would have to get all the fencing, we'd have to manage 2 lines, and so forth. So we're still working through that process right now.
I represent a carnival company, right? Like literally, if I'm renting rides and the purveyor is bringing rides, they can establish all of that. So I understand that we think we have to self-administer that. You don't. You write it into your contract on the ride company you're getting, and you say you're going to maintain 2 different rides, bracelets that pre-register at Rec Center, go get on first.
We could do that, but he has a high fee to do something like that, so we're trying to keep in mind for the residents and try to do what you're asking about, resident, non-resident. And a lot, for instance, the other amusement companies that are out there, they want to do the event for 3 days in order to do their ticket sales.
Well, that- I
They're
mean,
a
I-
little bit unique in that.
I stressed
And he
that at
wants-
last budget
and he wants
cycle.
to do
You-
the same thing, that if he does the charging, because he's got to keep people, he wants to be able to do it more than the 1 day. That's the issue, basically.
Well, yeah, that's what
Multiple.
limits, that's why they want to do it. It's almost impossible to set up and take
Right.
down in 1 day on an equitable level. You're going to get, but we also pay, out an imaginable amount for that 1 day, as opposed to if you did it for 2 days, you'd be
Yeah.
probably same cost, 3 days. So,
And we're unique in that fashion because we do not charge our residents, where a lot of the other cities are moving in that direction in charging, basically, so.
no, but I think what they've done in Parkland is you register, for example, you go to Rec Center, you show your ID, you register your 2 kids are getting bracelets, and that entitles them to go to the Fast Pass line.
They charge that, though. There's a $35 fee in advance that they put
they're
out to
doing
the
3
resident.
days there.
3 days, correct.
Is
And the
there?
day of the event, you have to pay a $40 fee.
So growing up in Coral Springs, we had Our Town, right? I grew up in Coral Springs. At Our Town, it was, ticket based. I don't know if it was, I don't know if it was a Coral Springs thing. Like, I don't know if the city sponsored, I don't know what they did. But is there, like, maybe, if the company is a multi-day, they're more intrigued to do multi-day rather than 1 day because the setup, the takedown, the this, the that, maybe it's opening it up on a Friday night, maybe opening up the fair on a Friday night, you could charge for Friday night. And then on Saturdays, more of our fun, our family day. Friday night might be, it might be kids, it might be teenagers, which, but you kind of, I know some people aren't cool with teenagers, I don't know, but it's just a way to bring in funds for it, while also saying, hey, we're going to do multiple days with you and getting that support. I don't know. It's just a thought process. I do believe in the Fast Pass. Last year it was bonkers how crazy packed it was, those lines. People waited 35, 45 minutes for a line, So I do appreciate the effort, and I know it's just a placeholder for now, but just thinking outside the box.
It's actually not a terrible idea. I actually like the idea.
What would the cost to the city be to add a day or an evening? It wouldn't matter, evening or day. You might as well go for the whole day.
We'd have to get the numbers, but we'd have to increase, with the tables, the tents. Even though they're out there, you have staffing, you have to worry about. Police is out there just 1 day, and fire, so you're going to need them out there full force that day prior. And same with like our department. Our department, I flex my staff just to work that day. Now, if they're going to work the night before, you're talking extra revenues in that area. But
So what we're really discussing here is that we're too big of a success.
we're a big success. Yeah,
We're
do a
too-
lot.
right.
What we do in that 1 day is remarkable. What we do for our residents.
But it's really not a whole day. It's 2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah, right.
Think about it, right? It's 6 hours of time. So if you did another 5 hours, right? So when we say a whole day, it's really not starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock. It's starting 2 p.m. It's really like a, I mean, it's not a day. It's 2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Right. And I think it's great that we're going to get your feedback on this because we have engaged Jack Carty, our consultant, to look specifically at the Butterfly Festival at a couple of components. One is whether the Fast Pass idea is the best way to go, whether increased revenue opportunities in the form of sponsorship or premium offerings is the way to go, and we can certainly look at whether adding a Friday night, what that does to the costs. The program modification provides for an increased budget so that we have some flexibility. We don't have it all resolved, but we certainly will be back to you relatively quickly with that. We met with Jack Carty a couple of weeks ago, and he said, we asked him what we could do, and he goes, give me a little bit of time. You know, we need a little time to resolve some of these issues. But he is focused. One of his tasks is to look at these special events, and he has looked at the history of the Butterfly Festival and suggests we really are doing a fabulous job, but we are underperforming as it relates to revenue opportunities, that there certainly are ways to recoup more of the revenue, whether it be in sponsorships or fees for services.
And Mayor, additional staff in Public Works alone, I mean, the event encompasses much of our city and the departments. They have a hand in many things that make this event so successful. So I'm interested in seeing the result of the consultant's overview of the concerns for the additional days, et cetera, and fast passing or not.
And just to Vice Mayor Wasserman's point, hypothetically, if you didn't run the bands and you didn't run the city events and you didn't run the canine demonstrations, all the fun stuff that we do on Saturday, right? And you just had rides and food trucks on Friday night for profit, I bet you every single one of those vendors would slash their price with the opportunity of potentially capitalizing on a Friday night only, not with, I don't want to say the dog and pony show, but not with all the stuff that people have come to expect. You're right, which is remarkable. It would cut down on the staffing considerably. You'd probably only need PD or allow them, yeah, well, I mean, agreed. But if you're not doing the fire demonstration, you're not doing all these things, and you're saying, hey, Friday night before, 6 to 10, you could come and pay. Maybe they reduce their contract, just food for thought.
So I also like the idea of the sponsorship because I think there's opportunity there, especially when you talk about the butterfly lot and right next to all those car dealerships being able to say, do their advertisement on that lot while people are waiting, to be able to pay to have that advertisement while they're waiting, or even, you know, have tents up where people can sit under their tent and they can talk to them about cars. There's still so much potential here for this. Yeah, there's a bunch of ways we can kind of offset that cost with that. I think that's another route we could probably talk about.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item, program modification, is the Hate Ends Now Holocaust cattle car exhibit. So we want to bring that back a second year in a row. And we're planning an event for the end of January, I believe, where we're working very hard to get that art piece in place by then.
No, I know, and I think you guys are doing an incredible job. This is so important to educate and keep it alive, and I think our city, your staff, just really doing a phenomenal job of keeping the story alive, giving our kids the opportunity to learn. I do think it's our responsibility to assist in that, so I appreciate you doing that, and I know we all did the cattle. I think we all did it. I'm not sure. So moving, and for you guys to bring it back. And last year was just happened. I know Bernadette just happened by circumstance, right? He just hit us up like the week before. He's like, somebody canceled, can we come? And he came, and it's going to be a very special day if we can get everything done. I appreciate all the effort. I really do.
So our expectation is that we wouldn't do this every year, but because we have this opportunity to roll out the piece of public art, it's a great opportunity to showcase both of them that last week of January.
How many, is that just one day for 5,000?
Yes.
So, just want to throw this out there. I would like to see it kind of 2 days, put the money out there, and bring the schools, our local schools, to give them a day of just the schools coming in and seeing that. And then open it up to the city on another day, on the second day, Because I think we're missing an opportunity to educate our youth on this. And I think it's bigger than just a one-day event. I think this is something we may seriously consider doing a 2-day.
We'll consider that. We did have, last year, we had the schools during the day and the general public, in the afternoon, evening. Felt rushed? Okay. We'll look at that. It is $5,000 a day.
Yeah, you can't put money on it. I'm going to be honest with you.
Maybe Todd would be willing to, if it's staying, because it costs him to transport, he might be willing to do a 2-day deal back to back. He lives in, I think Todd's in Boca. I think Todd's our contact for that, Todd Cohn. I appreciate that, John.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then there are also 2 capital outlay requests. One's for a floor scrubber, and the other one is for the gymnasium divider curtains for the recreation complex.
Mayor, may I? Yes. The scrubber, is that a scrubber for the basketball court type area in the lobbies, or is that for the the gym itself?
For fitness. We have a new flooring in the fitness center. So
That gray flooring?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's to help us keep it.
I wonder who said that was going to be, color was going to be an issue. You need a scrubber for that. There's no way around that. That grade is, and this is what we spoke about when we put the flooring in, is that it's going to be an issue. So, unfortunately, that's the knee-jerk reaction to having that color. So, I'm okay with that. I just wanted to make sure I understood what type of flooring was covers.
All right.
I know that, right? I knew that.
Yeah.
Is there a divider curtain in South?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right.
Gym divider.
Any other questions for Parks and Rec? No? All right, we'll move over to Public Works. Thanks, Wayne. All right, so for Public Works, lots of projects. The objectives for the upcoming year include actively working on moving forward various capital improvement projects, such as Fire Station 113 design, the Police Department improvements design, the Government Center and parking lot renovations design, the Recreation Complex building renovations, the interior renovations at the Rec Complex construction, Oak Trails Park expansion Phase 1, Donaldson Park improvements, Sunshine Drive Park improvements, and also Lakeside improvements. They're also going to be working to incorporate additional EV charging stations in the design for the Government Center courtyard and parking lot capital improvement program. They're going to work to replace 2 city vehicles with electric vehicles to support the city's resiliency efforts. They're also going to ensure ongoing maintenance and support of the fire apparatus vehicles within the fleet building. So they're looking to bring that over and under the contract that we currently have for fleet maintenance. We've just been having some issues with the current provider and delays in repairs that has been affecting operations. So we're looking to bring that under with our current provider. And they're going to continue to promote the community shuttle program through a comprehensive mass transit promotional program. So they had several new requests for the upcoming year. In terms of program modification, they're looking to add a food waste diversion commercial pilot program for $15,000, where they will try to find 10 restaurants to jumpstart this program, to implement the program there to see how well it does. They're also going to be working on a food waste diversion multifamily pilot program, and that is contingent upon grant funding. I believe they already applied for a grant for this, so we're just waiting to see what the results are. And they're going to bring also, before I move on, I wanted to mention that we are also looking into a school food waste diversion program. It's not in here in the budget, but it is something that we are going to be exploring and looking to see if there is a need and how we can accomplish that. So that's something we're going to work on, and also look into grant funding for that program. Yes.
So we talked about this when we did our budget resource meeting, whatever we want to call that. So we've been in a pilot program right now for, about a year and a few months? Where's that compost going? Do we know?
We do, and I actually asked Harry to answer that question. The composting is going to Filthy Organics. It's actually such a small volume, it's just mixed with the compost that they have. We have not been monitoring where it goes
Well,
from
that's
his
kind
facility.
of important, don't you think? If we're putting a program together and we're saying we're going to do this composting, we're not doing it for the world, we're doing it for Coconut Creek. So where is our return of investment on this?
Well, I hear your perspective, but the principal goal was to keep the food waste out of the landfill. But I understand the other side of the equation.
Yeah, we're asking our residents to come do this program, and we're paying for these programs. We got to get something back to say that there's a value in what we're doing besides not throwing it in the landfill.
So, to Commissioner Brody's point, the other entities, schools, North Broward Prep, their ROI is they haven't paid for mulch in 3 years because they're getting back byproducts of compostable, whether it's soil, whether it's mulch, whatever it is, whether it's from yard waste, whether it's from food waste. So,
we get an average of 37 pounds a week, so it's such a small amount.
Okay. So, but I mean, if we're going to do something bigger, and just
Yes, correct. Right now, the business model and what he has and why it's inexpensive to do is partially because he can offset, Dirty Organics can offset their cost by selling the waste product. We pay about $60 a ton per disposal fee. So we're trying to avoid the cost of the additional.
No. I'm agreeing with you, but the point is, what is it makes it palatable of why people are going to participate is saying, hey, we're bringing all this back into the city, and your bills are going to go down because of it, right?
Right. At this point, it's just a pilot program in which we're trying to introduce the concept. Scaling this up is another.
This is $31,000 plus whatever we've been doing the last 15 months to show, what, £1 a week? So my thing is this. If we're putting these programs in, and we're using taxpayers' money, because this is what it is, it's taxpayers' money, there's got to be a return on this to the taxpayer. Okay, I'm not going to pay, as much as I like Dustin, I'm not paying him all this money to do it so we can give it to other people. If it's a pound comes back. All right, so we're paying for this.
Well, he's only charging us $40 a week for a pickup. So his costs are so minimal in processing. There's no...
Yeah, but you're missing the point. Our residents are driving here to put it in our facility so that we could give it to them to recompost it. What's their return on this? Why are they doing it? What's the gain of them doing it?
It'd be the same with recycling, the drop-off. We're not...
To make your world a better place. No, we're paying for the
taxpayers' money. Just a convenience?
I mean, right now, these are pilot programs to introduce and educate in the concept. When you scale it up, it will make a difference.
Okay, we're now asking for more money to scale it up. So what is the return on our scale up? Nothing?
The desire was, no, these are just to introduce it, and then we step out.
So we introduced it a year and a half ago, year and a few months.
For a commercial, we introduce it, get them into it, we step out. It's just, this isn't a continually fund for commercial.
Well, so here's where I'm going to stand on this. If we're not getting a pound of something back, and they're putting effort into it, and we're putting effort into it, we're losing, because they need to know what they're doing has a return. Because we might as well be throwing it. They don't know where it goes. They might as well be throwing it back in the landfill, because there's nothing coming back saying, here's the gain of what I did and my good-hearted nature of recycling and composting.
I'm sorry, is it because of Filthy Organics, of course, has been out there commercially soliciting business, of course. Is that the reason why we're not getting the composting from commercial and schools and other entities, because they're actually having Filthy Organic pick up their composting?
Correct.
Individually?
We're not in the composting.
This is strictly a convenience for our residents.
Correct.
Is that what we're doing?
This is just to get the concept going. There was an idea and a desire to get the concept going, to educate people. Now we're trying to move it also to multifamily and commercial. Let's get the concept. The city, as a city, we want to step back out of that. We want to get multifamilies, complexes, and introduce them to it one time, 1 year, whatever we settle on, and they continue with their own contract with whatever company they desire, which would reduce their overall costs.
So maybe we should be concentrating on educating these communities basically, on composting.
And that's what these programs are there to do, is to initiate it, get them into that, try it, and then they take it from there.
There's no tangible results.
Hold on, John.
Well,
I think it's, Mayor, can I chime
It'll
in?
affect the cost.
Thank you, Mayor.
He's coming here to pick it up. He can come here to drop off something to say, this is your return, this is what we're doing.
But in his business model, he's making some amount of money on it to keep it, that offsets his other costs. He's got to process it and do it all. So if we want the product back, that takes away from the net profits he's going to build, and the cost could change.
Are we paying him to pick it up?
Yes, $40.
Is there? Hold on, John. Hold on. Is there? And I want to piggyback on what he's saying because I think he brings up a point, right? People want to see a product, right? You want to see what it's coming to. I get it, right? Do we have that with recycling? So when we have recycling, do we see an end product for the recycling? No. Okay. So.
But you do. What do you think our park equipment's made out of? When you recycle, it goes into something they can tangibly put their hands on and go, there's playground equipment.
But is that directly from our recycling?
It doesn't matter. It's a product that's coming back. And right now we're giving them money and we're giving them waste and we're not getting anything in return.
So you're thinking with the compost, you want to see the product come back, even if it's not the direct compost that we put in, what's coming back to the city from that?
We're dropping off 1,000 pounds, 10 pounds
Sandy,
of compost.
Commissioner Welch, is there, I know you're the master in this, is there something that comes back to a city, like he brings up playground equipment? Cool. What could come back from that?
And I appreciate that. And the thing about it is, to Harry's point, these pilots were strictly to educate, get people in the habit of having the capability to take their food waste, in addition to all the other products that we currently have for residents to bring and drop off here at our center. And then, because right now it's only the maximum is at 50 people.
100 people, but we don't see that many actively participating.
And I don't think everyone is participating.
Correct.
So my thought on furthering it, particularly into multifamilies, is doing this same thing that can happen here, happen at their particular, let's just say it's Tamarind Village. Or no, that's not a good example. What's your?
Coranda 1.
Coranda 1. Coranda 1 particularly, I'm sorry. Coranda 1 wants to be able to participate. They're going to volunteer to do this. Hopefully, with as many residents that live in Coranda 1, it's literally right in your back door. That container is going to be there. The education or the habit would be formed right in their own backyard. And I would hope that that would put that multifamily pilot location in a position to be able to negotiate. We want to be able to see, it won't be a large amount, I don't know.
50 people,
but
got names.
it would be able
Those 50 people should be able to get it back.
they would be able to get something back. And I honestly think, I haven't spoken to Filthy Organics about it, but I can't imagine that they wouldn't be interested in bringing some composting back to continue the effort into the multifamily program as part of it. And honestly, I also think that to your point and your point, that a product should be brought back here to our recycle center, even if it's a small amount. We have the name of those that participate. Everybody has a code. I put in 4 digits and a star, I was going to say. That those participants are able to get some composting back. And particularly in the schools. I know the schools are also interested in being able to have that product being recycled, should they choose to sign up with a grant, come back to their location.
Right. So,
And the same,
to your point,
and
it shouldn't just be anybody, but the people who donate should get something back.
And I totally agree. I think that is a valid point. I often wondered how many and when we were going to be able to do that. I think it's a marvelous extension of the education and getting something that is in your hand to be able to go. It may not be in the bags that North Broward Prep gets there, but I mean, they've used theirs for their community garden. their composting that they receive back. But they are a sole source provider, and they're all hands on deck being able to do it. We're still in the education phase. What's happened on the North Broward Prep campus has been ongoing for what, about 4 years?
No, 2 years.
2 years. And, but they have a closed loop process that they're able to make it very, very successful from point A to point B. But I think, to Harry's point, the education, if we can get the education planted in multifamily and to our residents and get a product coming back, I don't know if the commercial people are interested in getting a composting product back, but I definitely think the multifamily and the single-family residents, I know we have more people that participate in the pilot composting. I don't know what they would do with it, but I think there should be an opportunity to get something back.
We're smart enough to know if you put 1,000 pounds and you compost it down, you're not getting 1,000 pounds back. That's just obvious, right?
No.
But the idea is saying I'm contributing to something, even if it's educational. There's got to be something to say, okay, with 1,000 pounds we put in, and we're going to get 10 pounds back, and the 50 people have the opportunity to use that compost because they participated. At least it shows that there's something coming back that is not.
Well,
Can I make
the whole purpose is to lessen our footprint on landfills. Isn't that our main objective?
But let me, only because I did ask the last time, we did have Filthy Organics participate in the free tree giveaway, and he brought bags of compost. I mean, I think that's as simple as the equation could be, that if we could ask that he would provide those, I mean, he did staff the table, and he did provide, maybe not enough, but if we could talk with him about
Give out 100 bags.
giving out 100 bags of compost, I think it would be a great addition to the free tree giveaway.
Let me also just chime in. This is part of the Solid Waste Authority's ongoing plan. There's a component of composting that will be a part of how the Broward Solid Waste Authority does it. And whoever, in a perfect world, you look at like Seattle or you look at some forward-thinking place, if there's a can on garbage day for food waste, every individual isn't going to get something back. But in this limited vacuum where you're looking for buy-in, there is, depending on the closed cycle of it, getting something back. So, you know, it's an interesting comment. I think, you know, what you're getting early participants in a pilot program, there should be a little reward. But what you're looking at globally is if composting becomes part of mainstream waste management, forgive the name, the pun, I guess, refuse collection, whatever, we'll use the term waste management, there's not going to be a return on that because it's going to become so ingrained in what we're doing. Now, do I think the Solid Waste Authority is ever going to get there? That's a conversation for another day. But in the idealistic world is there's, 3 trash cans, one for garbage, one for recycling, one for food waste, and you put your veg out and it creates mulch. So if we're doing this program, though, if we're doing pilot programs where we're paying in, I mean, we should be getting something back using the vendor, understanding we're paying for it. So in the short term, not the altruistic world term, people recycle not to give something. I mean, listen, people recycle or they compost not to get something back. They do it to better the world. That's easy. That's why we do, things like that. You'd be a better global citizen. But in the short term of trying to sell a point of getting people to compost, I think that sells the point.
Also, you got to understand where I'm getting my ideology from is a little city called Chula Vista, California. You can look it up. Republic has a massive composting where they tell the residents to come get a bucket. Now, it's about 10 years old, so they're a little bit more further along than we are, but we're not recreating the wheel here. They're already doing it.
Right.
And they're getting compost back to the residents. So it's something that there is a return on. And if we're doing a pilot program, we need to reward the 50 people that are doing it. We need to reward them in some way. And because that's going to inspire people.
Thank you. I think this is worth conversation, but thank you. I'd like to move on. Thank you.
So we have one other department. We can either do utilities and engineering, or we can break for lunch because it's all ready and waiting.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harry.
Thank you. Peter?
All right,
please.
thank you. So we're going to just move forward and try to wrap up Public Works before we get into utilities and engineering. The next program mod we have is the in-house fire department vehicle repair and maintenance, which we talked about. Part of that funding is to get a lift to be able to work on the fire vehicles. We're having issues with the current vendor that we utilize, where we experience huge delays in getting vehicles back once we turn them in. So bringing it in-house through our fleet contract will increase efficiencies for the fire department.
We have a mechanic that's certified to work on their equipment?
The company fleet management has to hire, that's part of the increase, is they have to hire a technician that's EV rated.
So we're going to get a lift and the mechanic's
Correct.
contract to have a mechanic come in specified for?
They're going to hire on their payroll a mechanic that's certified to do the work on the equipment, and they also, there's a subscription to service for one of the software, some specialized equipment in the lifts.
All right, just make sure you get those certifications.
Oh, yes,
from those
yes.
guys. All right.
Okay. All right, and then we have a new recycling drop-off center that was put forth, but we're not recommending it because we have, sufficient coverage with the locations we already have. For capital outlay requests, we have an electric gate upgrade at the Public Works compound for safety reasons. We wanted to upgrade that based on how the gates open right now and issues with it. For $130,000. We're looking at a new turmower, flatbed trailer, and an enclosed trailer, as well as an irrigation trencher for Public Works. And we have included 2 Butterfly Express buses contingent on grant funding. There's a small match for that of $60,000. So we're looking to go out for the grant, and if we get the funding, then we would purchase 2 of those buses, and at the same time, we would make them propane dependent.
Can I comment on that for a second?
Yes.
These are these are replacing buses?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so not like adding to the fleet.
No.
All right, because not much ridership.
Right. In addition, we have reached out to Broward County to ask them if they would allow us, contrary to their current rules, to use their buses as our backup to our backup. We're still waiting for a response in that area. So we won't proceed with these without the grant funding.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
All right. Perfect. The next item is the rebranching of the Winston Park Tower. It was not recommended and included in the budget, just with many different competing priorities that didn't bubble up to the top, but we're here if there's any questions or want to have any discussions on that item.
Yes. So we tell everybody in our city that they have to come up to our zoning standards and that they have to add all this stuff for zoning, yet we aren't holding ourselves responsible to our own zoning on our own tower and our own equipment. So I do have a problem with that. That this is something I've been talking about for over a year, about that tree looking like garbage, and we continue to put people on, and it continues to look like garbage. It is, well, 125-foot fake ponderosa pine. Is that better? Yeah. So my thing is we're holding everybody else to a standard we're not holding ourselves to. I get it at $65,000, but if it was a commercial vendor, we'd say you got to suck it up as part of doing business in Creek. Yet we're not holding ourselves to the same standard. And I question, obviously, it being in an industry that's $65,000. Because it's about 12 years ago I did one and it was $60,000 with the installation. So $65,000 without installation or with installation?
It's with installation. We went back to, Cityscape went back to the manufacturer of the tower, the one that constructed it, and we received the 2 quotes for to supply all the new branches per the original design, and then another quote for the installation portion of it.
So the combined cost is $65,000.
The combined cost is $65,000. Comes in just under, but
it's actually a deal.
Yeah, it is, and we added a little bit of extra there because I think it's just under 60. But just by the time you get the quote, by the time this may get awarded, you want to account for a little room in case
Sure.
the costs change.
Back to where we hold our standards. We make everybody put an extra tree in when they can't afford to put trees in. We're asking everybody to hold a standard that we're telling them to hold, and we are not holding ourselves to that. And since this is my neighborhood, I'm telling you, every time I go outside and walk around and go to that park, I get asked about this. So I think that this is something we need to consider, A, putting it on the budget and getting it fixed so we can tell people we do is the same as we tell. Or, like we spoke about in our meeting, we put this out on the market for a tower company to purchase the tower, and then they can take over the maintenance of it. So either way, something needs to happen on this. We just can't continually ignore this because it looks like crap.
Okay. So can I ask,
Bruce Bandler.
sorry,
Sign right there, Mayor says.
make sure we shut off all our cell phones, please. Thank you.
I think it's ironic we're talking about cell phone tower when that happened.
I know, right on cue. I do want to ask, though, we have had a lot of motions made for work being done on these towers. Is there continuous work being done on this particular tower that adding this foliage to the tower, would that have to be repaired and replaced constantly?
Yes, we have one telecommunication company that's about to do an upgrade, and then we have another one that will be coming to the commission for permission, for an agreement to do another upgrade. Those potentially could conflict with some of the branches. We'll have to evaluate that.
What about putting it into the cost that they help?
Well, we look, anytime we do utilize those companies periodically when there's small maintenance items, fixing some safety climb components or things like that nature. And then since they're paying us a revenue, we have worked it out where there's a decrease in revenue to cover that cost. So it still costs the city whether or not we pay for it up front or whether or not it comes a little less revenue. So if we do that with any of those providers, we still have to account for it budget-wise. But that's a pretty large lift for when they're only doing the one section. For what they're doing on the tower, it'd be significant, but it could be
Did it for 25 years, man. It was always part of the deal. When we took branches down, we had to put them back up.
Oh, they do have to do, in their area, when they do work, they have to put the branches back up if they take them off. Yes, correct. But as far as rebranching the whole tower, we felt that may be a little far to mandate that they do that. While they'll agree, it'll still cost us, and given that their total cost of leases are around $45,000 a year, when this was 65. So the budget is separate.
Just to understand what Commissioner Brody is saying, this is a part of our ordinances to make these poles have fake trees, fake branches on them?
This particular pole, when it was developed as part of the site plan approval, we believed it was a requirement that it be concealed, and this was the method of concealing it. Right now, the branches, and even where they're missing, look really bad, but even the ones that are there look bad. Our concern was the concept of fake trees as cell towers is kind of past. I mean, there are some of them. We were just looking at, the investment and it not looking very good. There's been some suggestions about how we handle it, but it was a $65,000 expenditure that we were just concerned about making because it doesn't seem to be a very positive.
Right, because concealing it's subjective. Like, what did it call for, right, at the time, right? Like, what is the concealing?
It was the ponderosa pine. That's what was on, I believe, and we've not found it yet, but we believe that's what was part of the site plan approval. So we can look at a couple of options. We can look at delaying it until after this installation is complete, delaying it a year, or we can look to find the funds somewhere else in the budget. It's your pleasure. We just will have to find, we'll have to find the money somewhere else.
I would feel, I'm sorry, I feel that we should delay it, considering the work that's going to be done on the tower, and considering the economy and the budget this year, that we're looking to save money and to cut costs.
So we would only delay it 1 year. Is that
right.
your preference?
Well, my preference is we're holding people to standards that we're not holding ourselves to. And that's exactly what this boils down to, is how do I tell somebody, yeah, you got to plant that tree, and we can't even take care of a fake tree.
John, it's a little different. That's an ordinance, it's a site plan.
Exactly what
It's a little different. It's a little different. Yeah, it's a little different.
It's not a little different, because you guys are not fielding the questions when you're out in the park. I am. And if we're saying that we're going to tell somebody you have to keep your house a certain way, or your yard a certain way, we're not keeping our yard the same way. And it's exactly the logic they're giving me. It's the same logic I'm sitting there at this table going, okay, we're telling them you got to eat that tree. And we know how many of those trees come back to us. We got a fake tree that I've been complaining about for 2 years. And it's just now we get it on a budget, we're going to kill it for another year. Is that what we're doing? We're going to kill this line item and then?
It's your pleasure. We'll have to find the funds somewhere
I
else.
think we need to get creative and have a talk with the vendors that are coming in there and Cityscape. And
For the purposes of balancing the budget. All I'm talking about is balancing the budget today. So, you know, we'll always try to be creative. We'll look for grant funding, all of those things. But we will need to find, for the purposes of balancing the budget, someplace to take the funds from.
so I guess I'm on my own on this one, huh?
Just,
All right, so it's on record.
okay.
All right, thank you. So that brings us to the end of the slideshow for Public Works. Any other questions for Public Works before? No? Okay. We're moving on to Utilities and Engineering. So the objectives for the upcoming year include continuing to review the Main Street utilities and roadway expansion to ensure compliance and assess impacts on the city, to apply to Broward County for funding to design Phase 3 of the Comprehensive Streets Improvement Program, to complete the construction of a multi-use pathway, landscape enhancement, and drainage improvements along the north side of Hillsborough Boulevard, to complete the construction of a multi-use pathway along the south side of Sample Road using Mobility Advancement Program through the county, that's surtax dollars, complete the rehabilitation of the Hilton Road water storage tank, assist utility billing in deploying the advanced metering infrastructure in the field, which involves changing and upgrading over 12,000 meters citywide, and initiate priority projects identified in the Canal and Lake Bank Restoration Master Plan to effectively address restoration goals. So with that, we have one new request for a vacuum truck on the stormwater side. Right now, we have issues with the vacuum truck that we have, and we have to be renting, and allowing for this allocation will help us tremendously, work more efficiently to be able to meet the needs of the stormwater division. Any questions for Utilities and Engineering? Yes.
It's not a question, it's a comment. I just want to say that when we had an emergency in my neighborhood and the vacuum truck had to come out and be a part of the process of mitigating the situation, then the truck pulled up and it didn't have our logo on it, and I wondered why. And this very much explains it. So that rental truck comes at a very, very high price. So I definitely saw firsthand the need to get our own replacement vacuum truck. So thank you. Because Osama, I know throughout the years, never asked for anything unless it absolutely is needed, just like all the other directors.
How many gallons can it suck up?
Okay. Osama?
He was waiting for that.
I'm going to be honest, I don't have the number, but I can look it up right here. How many gallons?
Say consume. Can we say consume?
How many? You want me to say liters?
Just wondering if that's going to change your perspective on how you're going to vote on this item.
I want to learn a little bit about the vacuum truck. I'm sorry. I don't think it's an irrational question.
The large ones, about 5,000 gallons.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. It works, I can tell you that.
So all I can say is the reason why we use the vac trucks, because in areas we have a lot of root systems, other utilities. Instead of just digging, we use the vac truck after we wet the ground to suck up the stuff without disturbing the other utilities. That's why we use it the most as well.
Please highlight the sucking power of the truck.
What's that comparison?
Can go all the way, that I know, all the way down to up to 21,000 PSI.
Is that going to determine your vote on this?
Now it is.
So don't put your head in the thing. Never do that.
Yeah, no.
Oh, my God.
And this, all right, cool. No, this is great. Thank you.
No, your head.
Okay. Any other questions for Utilities Engineering?
I think
That's it? Okay. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to move on to the Capital Improvement Program. I know in the past we've kind of walked We've kind of walked through each capital item, but we do have summary slides in here just to go over what's new, because a lot of our items are recurring items with just annual allocations. So we're going to try to speed it up a little bit today. So with that, I'll turn it over to Veronica, who will be walking us through the CIPs. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter Gay. So we'll start by reviewing some of the completed projects this fiscal year. The playground replacement at the recreation complex, the sports lighting replacement program. We completed the lighting on the baseball field number 4, Sable Pines Park. Completed the traffic calming at Sunshine Drive and Cocoa Plum Circle. Installed automatic and manual door replacements at the Government Center Rehabilitation. Undergrounding of above-ground utility lines east side of Lakeside Park, a total of 600 linear feet. And we completed the initial inventory of the lead and copper rule compliance. Projects that are in progress, the playground replacement at Gerber Park, the Lyons Road pedestrian lighting design, fleet building rehabilitation, the Sable Pines Park sign replacement program, the Hillsborough Corridor Project, the Government Center Courtyard and Parking Lot renovation design, Donaldson Park and Sunshine Drive park improvements, and the rehabilitation of the water storage tank at Hilton Road. Some upcoming projects, the design of Fire Station 113, Phase 1 of Lakeside Park expansion, Phase 1 of Oak Trails Park expansion, Sable Pines rubber pathway replacement with concrete, Northwest 74th Place sidewalk improvements, Sample Road multi-purpose pathway, the meter reading conversion, Northeast Utilities expansion design, and Commission Chambers audio-visual enhancements. Some recurring capital projects that we'll be working on, the vehicle replacement program, just over $1 million there. Parks Improvement Program will be replacing exterior doors at the community center and replacing various fences at several parks and the recreation complex. HVAC replacement at Fire Station 50. The Technology Refresh Program. Traffic calming at the pedestrian crosswalk at Winston Park Boulevard and Lyons Road. And then exterior painting will be conducted at the community center, Fire Station 94, and median entryway signs. Continuing on with recurring projects, the irrigation pump station replacement program at Sable Pines Park and Lyons Road North Median, the Cyber Resilience, Security Leadership, and Disaster Recovery CIP. Shade structures will be installed at Donaldson Park Playground. Playground replacement will occur at Lakeside Park, just a resurfacing. City Facility Lighting Improvement Program will be conducted at City Hall and the Interior Commission Chambers. Pedestrian lighting, outdoor park amenities replacement program, flooring and carpet replacement program at Fire Station 50, sports surface repair and resurfacing at Sable Pines Tennis, Windmill Park Basketball, and Lions Creek Basketball. And the fitness equipment replacement program will provide Creek Fit North with 4 elliptical machines. So new projects underway for fiscal year 26. The Main Street infrastructure expansion, Village Green and Lakeside Plaza Park and parking garage design, South Creek neighborhood improvement design, which is surtax funded, the construction of the recreation complex renovations, fire rescue equipment replacement program, the police department improvement design, police officer equipment replacement program, facility roof replacement program will be undertaken at Gerber Park bathroom building, Sable Pines Park for 8 dugouts, and 2 dugouts at Gerber Park. The pavilion replacement program will provide new pavilions at Donaldson Park Shelter and Gerber Park Shelters. Continuing on, Fire Station 94 improvements will consist of a new sprinkler system and epoxy flooring. Water storage tank maintenance. Public art will be installed for high-performance government and safety and quality of life. Boardwalk and pathway rehabilitation at Sable Pines Rubber Pathway. The Government Center courtyard and parking lot renovations will be constructing a sidewalk for the City Hall Art Master Plan. The Government Center rehabilitation will see a building electrical assessment. There'll be some other police station improvements. Sure.
Can you remind me what high-performance government art is?
So what I can remind you is that we adopted a master plan for the City Hall complex to include the 4 pillars of the strategic plan. The first piece of art that we're working on is the Holocaust piece, but the second piece that has yet to be identified is intended to fill that pillar of high-performance government. So the expectation is it'll be part of the courtyard redesign, but we don't know what it is yet. And I don't think we know. It's so when we did the public art master plan, we took the strategic plan and we identified areas that would highlight that type of art. So that's up to the artist's interpretation. We're not there yet.
So you're just saying the artist's interpretation of high performance government?
I think it might be like a big dollar sign. Or it might be. I don't know that we know what it is yet. So it's.
But just to understand, this is an earmark that if there's no identifiable high-performance art that's acceptable, that fund goes back into the coffers. Is that a fair assessment?
It goes back into the Public Art Trust. So it needs to be.
So it's not like that 60 grand can go towards the tree.
No, that is
I wanted to learn about that. I want to know if that was a
it's
thing.
actually from the Public Art Trust Fund.
Right.
So it can only be expended for.
I wanted to.
It could be expended for any type of public art by a reputable artist. So we could just remove the concept of high performance government. It's just phase 2 of public art installation at City Hall. Phase 2, public art, City Hall. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be the Monopoly Man with a monocle.
All right, don't let me down.
So we're going to change this slide.
Okay.
You better.
All right, here we go. There's high performance art.
I love it. See, that's actually really cool.
Can we maybe just change the horse for a butterfly?
Okay.
Off the rails, ladies. Get
Okay.
back to
All right. Continuing on, so the Government Center rehabilitation will see a building electrical assessment. There'll be police station improvements and a police canine training facility improvement at Fire Station 113. Are there any questions?
Don't put idea. Funny you should ask. Funny you should ask. It is. We have had some conversations about therapy dogs as part of the fire service. We have not gone very far with that conversation. It does have expenses associated with it.
Okay, that concludes our presentation.
Typically, we walk through the CIPs, but I think we've touched on everything that's new. So unless you have any additional questions, I think we're at the end of the workshop. But before we break, I did want to say a thank you to all the departments who have worked hard to continue to provide the superior services and programs for our residents while navigating challenges and unanticipated increases in cost and shift in priorities. At times, they make it look so easy, but I know firsthand how much hard work and ongoing interdepartmental communication and collaboration is required to get this budget together. So I just wanted to say thank you to them and thank you to the Commission for all your support. And there are no more questions? Or
Well, no, I just have a comment that I would like to say thank you. Amazing to put this together. Thank you to the department heads, your entire finance department, as well as our city manager and our city attorney. I also want to say that I'm very pleased with this budget because every dollar that seems to be being spent and that's accounted for is to the benefit of our residents. And I think each and every one of us, that's exactly the direction we had asked for, since we did get some cuts from the government, that it was challenging to balance the budget, and we absolutely did without cutting services. And I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to add the time that you spent with me and in getting back all the answers to the questions that I had is very significant in understanding the budget and why we're looking at the numbers that we are today.
thank you, and that's all Veronica. So thank you to Veronica and her team.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot for everything that you guys did. Seriously, this is a lot we know got in here, and I made a promise not to add anything new when we sat down today, and I kept that promise, but I'm really looking forward to some high-performance art coming out of the city. Figure out what that is.
All right. Thank you.
I'll say the same thing that they said. You guys put a lot of time and effort into this. It's not just a binder to you. It's life. It's your everyday. And appreciate all you guys have done and representing our city so well.
I think this year was harder than most as well, because I don't remember in the last really 10, except for maybe COVID, seeing such a significant budget shortfall. So I think that really is a credit to everybody sitting in the room as well, having to go back to your staff that you lead and getting rid of wish list items, getting rid of positions that you probably want that would make all your lives easier. So thank you for that. And obviously to the finance ladies, thank you. You knocked it out of the park again. I look forward to a great auditor's report after we're approved.
All right. Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you all.
Meeting adjourned.